All right, we're back. It's Macrodosing, the only podcast that you can find on the internet. A podcast is something that you listen to. It's like a radio show for your computer. So we're happy that you started your podcast experience via macrodosing. I think it's an exploding medium. You'll probably find some other podcasts that start to come up and copy us and start to do their own radio shows on the computer in the not so distant future. But until then, this is the only place that you can listen to people talk on the internet. So it's pretty cool. And a great place that you can go visit if you're looking to talk to somebody would be BetterHelp. That was a nice segue. Did you guys hear that? BetterHelp is a great service. We always talk on the show about mental health, about how it's important to be able to have discussions, be able to talk about things instead of keeping them bottled up. And BetterHelp is the best way to do it. If you've been thinking about going to therapy, if you've been thinking about talking to somebody, it's not scary. There should be no stigma that comes with therapy. It's good to get your feelings out, to talk to somebody. And if you go to betterhelp.com/dose, you can get 10% off your first month. The best way to think about therapy is through an analogy. We get our cars tuned up to prevent bigger issues down the road. We get annual checkups. We go to the gym to maintain physical wellness and prevent injury and disease. We do chores regularly to avoid a giant mess of a house. And going to therapy is like all the above. It's just maintenance for your mental and emotional wellness to prevent bigger issues down the road. So if you've been thinking about it, if the thought has occurred to you, maybe I should talk to somebody. Maybe it's not a huge issue that you're dealing with. Maybe there's some stress in your life. Maybe something's chaotic. Maybe you're going through some personal loss. Therapy is a great outlet to get some of those feelings out, and it'll help you feel better. It really will. So with BetterHelp, it's a customized online therapy, so you can do video, phone, even live chat sessions with your therapist. So you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. If that makes you uncomfortable, seeing somebody that you're talking to, you don't have to do that. You can just talk to them. You don't have to look at them. Or if you choose, you can do a video session and be able to talk face-to-face with somebody over the internet. And it's more affordable than in-person therapy. You can start communicating with your therapist in under 48 hours. So stop investing in everything else beside your mind. Make an investment in your own brain. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month when you go to betterhelp.com/dose, BetterHelp.com/dose. I can't recommend it enough. Some of the best feedback that we get on this podcast is when people say, hey, you know what? I actually reached out. I talked to a mental health professional and I'm feeling better because you guys encouraged me to. That makes me feel like we're doing a good thing here, and BetterHelp is a great way to get started with that. BetterHelp.com/dose. Okay, we're doing pirates this week. Pirates. Look at me. I am the captain now. That's really all I know about piracy. So Billy put together a great fact sheet, which I'm sure we'll be dipping into if we can handle the power of the fact sheet this week. But before we get into that, what's new with everybody? What's going on down? What's up? You're in Houston now, Arian?
I'm in Portland right now, Portland, Oregon.
You're just all over the planet. You're Carmen Sandiego.
Yeah, I've been trying to stay mobile, man. It's a wild time we live in.
Don't let them pin you down. What's going on in Portland?
Nothing. I just need to get away, man. Got a lot of drama going on in Houston in personal life, so I just dip out and see some wildlife and eat some good food.
Are you going to Chaz or that like autonomous zone in Portland?
I don't even. What is that?
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think you're talking about Seattle, is where they had Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone. There's probably something in Portland that's similar.
I'm pretty sure there's a place, a couple square blocks in Portland, which is basically like a sovereign nation where they've been, doing a lot of, protesting, like crazy stuff.
Have we figured out why Portland is a hotbed for right-wing extremists and also Antifa to just like meet up? I feel like it's like an MLS rivalry where they just agree to meet up in Portland once every 3 months and just have a fight on the streets of Portland. Why is that ground zero for everything?
From my understanding, Portland is a lot like a Houston or a Dallas or something like that, where it's like the actual city is really extremely liberal, right? Or like, quote unquote liberal. But the outskirts are not as such, and so it's like this battleground for ideology. From my understanding, like I don't know Portland history like that. Actually, I would. Somebody told me the history of Portland is actually pretty interesting, but I don't want to butcher it for the people that are from there. To my knowledge, that's what's going on. So like the inner city is like really liberal, and like the outskirts are kind of like conservative, and like here out west, especially in the Northwest, like the liberalism is like it's like progressivism. So it's like it's extreme, like as far as ideology is concerned. So like they want to like abolish or defund the police, defund the police, like shit like that. And like the conservatism here is extreme as well. So that's just like a breeding ground for conflict.
Yeah,
Got it.
So it's in Portland. It's the Red House occupation, not Chaz. Chaz is Seattle, but there's another one in Portland. It's like Antifa.
The Red House?
Yeah.
Okay. Isn't Red House, that's a Jimi Hendrix song, I think.
No idea.
Yeah, good tune. We got the whole squad here. We got Billy Football, Big T, Avery, Mad Dog, Coley, Arian. Everyone's here this week. We're going to try to get to the main topic today. My goal is to get to it slightly quicker than last week, not to force anything. Although people did really enjoy the discussion between Big T and Arian. I got equal feedback from people being like, Big T's a fucking idiot, and other people being like, Arian's a fucking idiot. Mm-hmm. So glad that we were able to have a civil conversation about it. And I enjoyed it quite a bit. What do you guys think? Looking back on it, you happy with the way things went?
Yeah, Big T, yeah, so much my dog, man. Most online, and this goes back from when I first started having any kind of relevancy on the internet due to how I carry a ball over a line. When people talk shit on the internet, 99% of the time they just looking for attention. Like when they poke at people, so like Big T, like when they be like Big T's a dumbass or whatever. Like some people might actually feel that, but for the most part, motherfuckers just be like, they just want attention. They just want to interact with you. And when you do interact with them, they're like, oh no, I mean, I don't mean it like that, man. I'm like, yeah, I bet, bro. So it's all love as long as we keep it peace. I feel like those conversations need to be had because like I'm not going anywhere with my ideology. I know Big T side ain't either. So it's like we gotta be here. We gotta exist.
Big T, you feel the same way?
Yeah, I thought it was good. I didn't listen back to it, but I remember. Yeah, I liked it. It's like Arian said, it's good to have conversations like that with people that you know, like you're cool with, and you can talk like that.
Mm-hmm. To that conversation, there was recently a Facebook whistleblower who on 60 Minutes was talking about how Facebook was misleading the public on progress against hate speech, violence, and misinformation. So very topical to what we were talking about. Did anyone else see that?
Yeah, I saw her that she said like everyone should boycott Facebook, basically.
Yeah.
As Facebook is down right now, we are all involuntarily boycotting Facebook.
Finsta's down?
Finsta,
oh, yeah,
Insta, Facebook, everything's down right now. So,
yeah, I mean, I think most of us could have just told you after, years and years of being in and around Facebook and being on the platform that they definitely monetize people getting pissed off at each other. I would say that the majority of the interactions that I've seen on Facebook are just like people commenting on other people's comments and having arguments online.
Yeah, so a woman on 60 Minutes last night said that Facebook is breaking down society from within. So it's just like, duh. And then the woman that was at the Senate hearing last week where that senator, I forget who he is, but I've seen him before.
Blumenthal.
Yeah. And was like, are you getting rid of Finsta? And she had to explain to him that's slang and not an actual product that Facebook supplies to young children.
Dude, it is.
It's so dumb.
That sounds like a guy whose granddaughter got caught with a Finsta.
Yeah.
And then her parents told him about it. And they're like, yeah, we found her Finsta online.
Yeah, bring Facebook to the Senate over
She's
this.
taking risky pictures. And then her grandfather's like, can you delete my granddaughter's pictures from the internet forever?
And then he got pissed. He was like, oh, well, the woman from Facebook was like, well, Finsta is a slang term made up. Like, we can't stop people from how they use Instagram. And he was like, I don't think that's an answer.
Well, she responded back. She goes, Finsta is a type of account. He goes, good, then get rid of that type of account. She's like, well, no, that's like not. And she gave a bad answer. She was trying to like not make him feel stupid. She should have been like, no, you're an idiot. Like, that's not a thing.
Yeah. How do you even respond to that question, though?
I don't know. She went off on a tangent about how like they're working to improve security and all this stuff. She should have told him off.
Yeah. I mean, I would have been like, if you're in front of me and I'm a senator, is there a way to shut down people that reply all to group emails? and that's actually a more relevant question. I think that affects more people than Finsta.
You want to kind of bring back like those chain mail that you used to get in like middle school and stuff.
Sending letters.
No, like when you used to like say, send this to 20 people you know.
Or you get 17 years of bad luck.
Yeah, I think
why do you want to bring that back?
I think it would be very instrumental in getting people to subscribe to Macrodosing.
Yeah, good point.
Like
bro.
I was thinking
I disagree. That shit is the first generation of spam calls, bro. Fuck that shit.
Yeah, but I mean, it was like one of the first tweets, you know,
All right.
to a bunch of people.
To any fans out there, I'm not involved in that shit. If you get that shit, that ain't me, dog.
I think we could start a little grassroots email.
See, Billy, you're too young to even know what the original chain letters were, where people would actually send a letter to your house, and then you would have to take it, copy that letter, like take it to Xerox or to Kinko's, and copy it, and then send 10 copies out, write envelopes, like write addresses on envelopes, buy stamps, put it in the mail, and then send it to 10 more people. I remember I got one of those when I was a kid, sent to me by a relative, and I was like, Dad, what is this? And he was like, oh, that's bullshit. And I was like, why did my cousin send this to me? My adult cousin sent this to me. It was the most wasteful. You knew that somebody had nothing going on in their life when they took the time to make copies of a physical letter and then mail it to you.
Before the internet, I feel like that was most of the world. Like I saw this meme of like, it was like a Norman Rockwell painting of a guy like in his kitchen, like drinking. It was like an old Budweiser, some sort of beer commercial. And the caption was like, guy gets home from 8 hours of doing something Excel does in 2 seconds to his house and like wife and kids and can afford all of it. And I was just like, damn, like people, like when people used to work and had work ethic, it was just random stupid shit that just like is so automated now.
My guy put work ethic in quotation. Like, that shit's crazy.
That's classic Billy right there. They used to like go to work and do stuff. Their bosses would give them tasks and they would do it.
There were no content creators. Fucking losers.
No, that's what I'm saying. I mean, like.
I do agree. The world was trash before the internet. Like, it was shit. It was like, pretty shit.
Guys were making 6 figures just doing like simple math all day.
Yeah,
and that was like, and they act like that was like such a prestigious job.
Filling out a ledger. Yeah.
It was a prestigious job back then. Really.
They were making 5 figures, but in today's times, it was like 7 figures.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, this house is $17. Cool, I'll take that. My family will have this forever.
Norman Rockwell paintings were seriously straight up memes. They were precursors to memes. Yeah. Like the guy with the giant turkey for his family. Yeah. Those would be some fucking fire memes.
Why? This is a random ass question though. Why are stamps a thing?
To pay.
Yeah, you got to pay for the postal service to deliver shit. It helps fund it.
So stamps are just a mail currency?
Yeah, they actually count as legal tender currency.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a fascinating. I never knew that. I always wanted, because I've never really mailed anything like that before. Well, I've never paid attention, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I saw that you finally checked your mail, Arian.
Yeah.
And you had a mean note from the postal worker?
I don't think it was mean, man, because I know my mail lady, right? So she's super sweet, man. But I have a thing. I don't check mail. Like, I hate checking mail. 99% of the shit I get in the mail, you throw away. Like, it's ads, it's nonsense. It's like, it's letters that you like the hospital sends, or somebody said that isn't actually information that you actually need.
Those are bills. You're talking about bills.
Nah, sometimes it's not. Most of the time it's not bills. Like, bills are all my bills are automated, right? Like, I know I'm in a specific group, but all my bills are automated. So I don't get bills through mail. Like, it's all automated. So like anything I get in the mail, it's all garbage. I throw it away. So like I never check it, but sometimes I get packages and they just sit there. And so this last month I hadn't checked the package, and I had a homegirl send me some hot sauce. And which, by the way, if you haven't had Truff hot sauce, TRUFF, it's by far some of the best hot sauce in the world.
Okay.
But anyway, she sent it, and it got sent back to the post office because I hadn't checked my mail in a month, and the lady left a message that says, "You haven't checked your mail." She underlined a month. I guess it's a little inconvenient, because then she has to take it to the post office. I get that, and maybe I'll be a little bit more cognizant to ease her workload. But I hate it. I hate checking mail.
I love the fact that it took you not getting a hot sauce delivery to finally go out to your mailbox, be like, all right, the time has come. We had a good run going, but I need this Truff.
Truff is delicious though, man.
I'll have to check it out. Yeah, Billy?
No.
Oh, Billy was giving me the look where he's got his mouth open and he looks like he's about to say something. So there was something going on upstairs.
Yeah, I still haven't been able to get a credit card.
Okay.
The credit bureau has basically sent to me that they have zero record of who I am, what my credit is, my social. It's weird.
I might have a solution for you, Billy.
What?
So, my boyfriend was in town this weekend, and he just signed up for a credit card at dinner, and they gave it to him. And it was just a Discover one. That's just like, I think I've learned
where do they give out credit cards?
No. He just signed up like online in 2 seconds. And
Discover?
yeah.
He said, so where are they giving out credit cards?
Dinner and a credit card? Good deal.
Okay, this is a question for the people who have money in this room. Is Discover a bad credit card?
No, I don't think Discover's a bad credit card.
Okay, because then people were telling us that like Discover is like for people who are don't have any money because they'll like approve anyone.
They have zero credit. I think I have to do that.
So you basically sign up and it gave. This might just be how credit works, and I don't know. But they signed up and you put in your income. Apparently, everyone lies on your income, so you get a higher credit limit. Is that true?
I wouldn't do that. That sounds like a terrible idea.
It's not.
I want to make it clear that I didn't do that. IRS, do not come for me. But
I feel like that's a before the internet type thing.
no,
People used to
fill
lie so much before the internet.
You
It's
fill
actually
in your
crazy.
income, and then they just said, "Okay, here's your credit card. It's on the way, and this is your credit limit per month."
There's no such thing as a bad credit card unless you can't make the payments. Like that's it. Like so, like there are definitely hierarchies in like so. Like I have an American Express, right? American Express is like the upper echelon of credit, and the reason why is because it's the perks that they give, it's the rates, right? And it's the like so like say like I was saying the other day, like when we was talking about credit, like I had like an $1,800 purchase that they called me about, that I was like, no, I didn't do that. They didn't ask any questions because of my record. They wiped it from my account. I didn't have to pay for it. Come to find out, I actually did buy the shit. I just forgot about it. but they just wiped it. They didn't ask any questions. They have a concierge. Like say if I have like an event I want to go to. Say I want to go to like a football game or something like that, or a concert and it's late or something like that. They have a concierge that I can call and be like, they reserve tickets and stuff like that for people. But that's like upper echelon, right? So it's like,
Yeah, Billy, they're not gonna do that for you.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Discover
So
card,
there are perks, but it's not a bad credit card. Like there's no such thing as bad. Like,
Right.
you like people who make a regular living a day to day. They shouldn't worry about like how fancy the credit card is. They should worry about just making the payments. $500 a month. Set your limit. Try not to go past the limit, but get one paid off and just monthly expenses,
now,
and you'll be fine.
quick question: how many years does it take to build up the credit to get to that point?
I mean, everybody's different, right? So like mine, like so when I came out of college, we talked about this briefly on the last credit episode, but my shit was like 500 something. It was the worst. I had overdue bills from when I was fucking 8 years old, from when my mom and dad put shit in my name. Like it was horrible, and it was really bad. So I would say within about like a 2-3 year period, I saw like it jump from like to like a 600, 700, and then like 800, right?
Okay.
It gets fast, but you have to spend, right? So you have to like I was making like a lot of purchases and I had the capital to back it, but they were like my people were just like, just buy it with a credit card and we'll pay it back. That way we can build your credit up.
Okay.
Yeah. The only difference between like a good, bad credit card is, some give you cash back, some give you perks for travel, they give you miles to fly. So if I were to go back and tell myself like 6 years ago, what I should do differently, I would get a card that had sick perks as far as like frequent flyer miles go. And then every time I traveled somewhere for work, I would have them use my card to put that flight on and then get reimbursed. And I'd probably be able to have like, just an insane amount of frequent flyer miles right now and go anywhere I wanted. But I'm also, turns out, very lazy. So never got around to filling out that sort of paperwork. But Billy, you're a guy that I feel like credit card companies should be actively courting you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're their target market. It's like this guy spends $2,000 a month on frog food. And if we can just get that account nailed down, then that would probably make one credit card salesman's month. But I don't know how to like get you from 0 to 500.
I literally was calling the credit bureau and they don't have a record of my social security. Like I'm like Jason Bourne.
That seems like more of a you issue.
Yeah.
than a young person. Because I got a credit card
think
easily.
there's something wrong with it's weird.
You know what you got to do? You got to rent a library book and then just not return it, because they'll certainly find your credits. They'll find your everything that they need to know about you if you owe them money.
Yeah.
So you need to like just make a quick stink, owe a library $50 after like 3 years, and then your credit score will be, like a 510, and then you can start building it up from nothing.
The thing is, I went to my bank to like meet in person to sort it out, because I just kept on getting like stonewalled on the internet, and the guy was like, "Yeah, I've never seen this before. Like, we have no record of your credit." Like,
can you put it like on your parents'?
I think I have to co-sign with someone.
That's what I had to do.
Enough about credit. You know who actually used stamps and had a postal system? Pirates.
All right, Billy, that was a nice segue, but I'm not quite done talking yet. That was good, though. We'll circle back to that.
You tried to commandeer the program.
You tried to pirate Macrodosing.
I am the captain now.
You just tried to buccaneer this fucking show.
Yeah.
Before we get to piracy, I had one thing I want to talk about, because there's a lot of stuff that we talk about on the show where we just completely talk out of our ass, and this I think is going to maybe be the one that takes the cake and beats them all. Because I've been reading online about how the U.S. government is going to run out of money in October, and how the way to get past that is if we just mint $1 trillion coin, which is apparently something that the president of the United States has the power to do if he wants, to mint a fucking $1 trillion coin. I don't know how any of this works. Full disclaimer, I think it'd be fucking cool to have $1 trillion coin, but everybody in the world would then try to steal that coin, right? Imagine
where do you spend $1 trillion coin though?
To pay off debt.
You have to buy a shitload of weapons and drugs, like from a foreign government, one of the ones that we don't do business with. Maybe from who's on the sanctions list, right? North Korea. I bet you go over to North Korea with $1 trillion coin in your hand, you live like a king for the rest of your entire life.
Well,
you just have to have it in your hand.
How is that a solution to being in debt with ourselves and various other countries?
I don't know.
I don't understand.
No idea, but it sounds cool.
So I studied this in school. The national debt, right? Like, we don't actually have to ever pay it off. We just have to pay the interest payments on it. So that's a much smaller number than the actual debt.
Yep.
And we're just taking it out from, like, so for example, you know how they always said Donald Trump was like, had tons of debt and like went bankrupt several times? That was because he would take on a ton of debt, use that money to make more money, and then if he couldn't pay the interest payments on that debt, then he just declared bankruptcy. The thing is, the U.S. as a country, like Donald Trump's companies, can go into as much debt as they need to without having to default or like go into bankruptcy, because we are the government and we can make the money.
Yeah, and as long as we raise the debt ceiling too, we have to keep doing that.
Well, the debt ceiling's arbitrary. It's just like a limit that Congress put on ourselves to be responsible. But now that we're off the gold standards, then we can just print as much money as we want and just like play Monopoly.
We've got a AAA credit rating, and as long as we make our payments on time, then we can continue to get money loaned to us. I'm just curious how minting this coin would work. I'm more interested in the specifics of who designs the coin, what is it made out of, what's the security like around the coin? Well, I steal it?
What other
why are we discussing all of these things so publicly? Not us as a podcast, us as a government. Like, this feels like stuff that should not hit our desk at all.
Right.
And B, if we can do this shit, like, what is money? Why have any limits at all? Why have a ceiling? Why? We're living in a Simpsons episode and also Rush Hour 2. Where we're like just stealing the printing press and just making as much money as we want. Clearly, none of this matters.
Yeah, two things. When they say we're going to run out of money, what does that mean?
So because that's another thing where we're not actually going to run out of money, but people are saying the federal government's going to run out of money.
And then my second one is they're talking about like the only problem is we have to raise the debt ceiling, right? And they're going back and forth with like McConnell and all this shit. If we have a Democratic president, Senate, and House, why is this even an issue? They should just be able to do it.
Well, there's the filibuster, so you have to have a supermajority. Basically, you have to have 60 votes in the Senate now, which the Democrats don't have.
Okay, so then
Billy just found a fact. Do you hear that noise? That noise right there was Billy reading something that he finds intriguing.
Avery, you should have a sound bank of Billy's noises and just play them periodically through the episode. That shit would be fucking.
I'll do that.
The sound of the light bulb that goes on above Billy's head.
No, I just found all the largest denominations of currency the U.S. has printed, and I just found $500 note, and then there was $1,000 note, $5,000 note, $10,000 note, and a 100,000 gold certificate. I just sent it into the group chat.
Who was on the 100,000?
The 100,000. This looks like Wilson. Yeah, Wilson. They were all printed. The last time they were printed was 45. Last time they were distributed was 1969.
All having a party.
So it was the 100,000 gold certificate was used only for official transactions between Federal Reserve banks and not circulated among the general public. This note cannot legally be held by currency note collectors. So the gold certificate was specifically between like Federal Reserve banks, and I think that means like two different federal. Like, what is a Federal Reserve bank? Like, is Fort Knox a Federal Reserve bank?
That's where they keep the gold.
Yeah. So I feel like it's one of those things.
Another thing we shouldn't have publicized.
Yeah.
There's actually so many people who don't think the gold inside Fort Knox is real. And it's like fake, like, you know, the fake brick in the gambling cave, or like fake brick walls. Like the gold is just a bunch of like, you know, fake metals, and they don't go past because the Fort Knox is just a room filled with gold, like stacked wall to wall. Like they think it's just the first row is real, and then everything behind it, there's nothing.
Who do you think should be on the $1 trillion coin? That's the big question.
I'm not as hung up on who should be on it as much as I am the size of it. Like, I think this needs to be like a fucking manhole cover. Like, you can't make this like a quarter or even like a 50-cent piece. Like, you can't have this thing like falling in couch cushions. Like this.
Lil Yachty had that little diamond in his forehead, like $24 million. Oh, Lil Uzi, my bad. Had a diamond in his forehead for like $24 million. So it could be like, you know what I mean, something like this. But I got the perfect person. There isn't a Democrat, a Republican, libertarian, anything in between the political spectrum that doesn't like this dude. He's the only nonpartisan person on the planet right now. The Rock. Everybody loves The Rock. The Rock has to be on the $1 trillion coin.
I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all. What if it was like the Lil Uzi diamond, but the coin had to be implanted in the president's forehead? Whoever the president, so Joe Biden's rolling around with $1 trillion.
But remember, currency is not always representative of its value.
Okay, yeah, good point.
Well, of course.
But we're talking about Joe Biden walking around with $1 trillion coin.
So like the $1 trillion
Biden,
coin,
stumbling up to a vending machine trying to get an oatmeal cream pie with the $1 trillion coin out of it,
but it doesn't
shuffling away and complaining to the manager. Hey, Jack,
so apparently
nicked my biscuit.
There's apparently talks that this could be completely wrong, but that the $1 trillion coin is the size of 50 quarters stacked up on top of each other.
So it's like a cylinder.
So it's like this verbal, but like.
So
I think a cylinder is a bad idea for a coin, $1 trillion coin.
Right, but then on Billy's point, it also says that the government can like issue a coin and it can be any size and they deem the value. So this one says it's like the 50 coins stacked up on top of each other, but then at the same time they could also just give you like a penny and they just put $1 trillion in 1 cent on it.
If
like when you it's just the dumbest fucking
it all just
if we
like,
make
aliens looking at us from a perspective, we're probably like, what the fuck are y'all talking? Like, why do y'all do this stupid shit? Like, this is just
guys,
dumb.
You know who? So this $1 trillion coin thing, I think, is raised by one of these politicians that don't really know too much about fiscal like law and practice, because it was raised in 2011, it was re-raised in 2020, and basically every time it gets raised, the Federal Reserve and Treasury are like, we can't do that. Like, we can print a bunch of money, but like you can't do that.
What's the difference between printing money and then making a coin?
One big coin.
It's the exact same thing. Unless this might be the fatal flaw. What if we just make a $1 trillion coin and then China's like, we just made a $2 trillion coin? And then you just get yourself into like a battle of the different razor companies going back and forth, putting one extra blade in it.
I think it's the idea that the $1 trillion coin will get zero usage. Like no one's
no shit.
Yeah, but
I hope
but that's why it's like wouldn't be like healthy for the financial system.
I hope this is a thing and it's the plot for National Treasure 4. Like they got to steal the coin.
All I care about, if we make a $1 trillion coin, I also want an accompanying $1 trillion vending machine, and we put the coin into the vending machine, and it's like a TV special, and we just watch the debt ceiling like get raised, like
A
on
bag
the
of chips
machine.
get stuck
Yeah.
on the machine.
Yeah, something. We put the coin in. I don't know how this is somebody else's job. Figure out how that happens, and then we just watch the debt. Like, I don't know if this is raising the debt ceiling, if it's getting rid of part of the debt. I don't know, but whatever it does, I want something to happen on the machine.
I agree.
I don't know why. But
I agree. They should, you know, that giant clock that they have in Times Square that shows the national debt?
Yes.
They should give the coin to Jim Cramer, and he should get on like a step ladder and go up there and put it into the building, and then the clock goes down to zero immediately. That would be very satisfying to watch.
Then we all rejoice.
And then we all rejoice. Everyone's got great credit, and we don't have to worry about anything else anymore. Healthcare is still expensive.
For some reason, I feel like the vending machine would just distribute like nukes. I don't know why. I feel like it would be in the government and just like they put in the big coin and just nukes would come out.
Yeah. Oh, here's an idea. Why don't we just mint $1 trillion Bitcoin? We don't have to actually do the work.
We have to mine it.
Yeah. Just say that we did. It's literally that simple. You could just have the nation's biggest. Who's the head of computer geeks in this country right now? Would you give that to
Musk?
He's not really.
He's going through a bad breakup.
He's
right
a
now.
car geek. Yeah. Who's the biggest computer nerd?
Gates.
Bill Gates, Steve Kornacki, Zuckerberg. Yeah.
I think Zuckerberg's an absolute puppet.
Just here's what you do. Just have Joe Rogan announce on his podcast. Yeah, we just minted $1 trillion Bitcoin. It's pretty cool, and then everyone believes it, and then boom, problem solved. You don't actually have to do any of this stuff as long as everybody believes that it's been done.
Yeah. So looking up like what would actually happen if we minted $1 trillion coin, it would be analogous to securities purchases that are part of quantitative easing, and basically it would increase the money supply so much that there would be insane inflation, the economy would overheat, and there'd be increasing expectations of future inflation.
Yeah, because I think the cat is kind of out of the bag at that point. If you just say one day I'm going to mint $1 trillion coin, then people will be like, okay, well, you're going to mint another one, or you're going to mint a bigger coin.
Yeah.
And the round number of $1 trillion is kind of like a red flag. It's like that's exactly what we need right now, like exactly $1 trillion. You know how much $1 trillion is?
1,000 billion.
$1 trillion. Is it really 1,000 billion?
Well, I know a million's 1,000 billion. I mean, a billion's 1,000 million.
Yeah, I saw somebody tweet the other day. I actually think it was Wade Phillips. You know Wade Phillips, right, Aaron?
Yeah.
So the football coach.
Man, is one of the last names I thought you were gonna bring up into this.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah,
now I'm intrigued though.
Let's go to our senior economics or statistical correspondent, Wade Phillips, and he had an interesting tweet the other day. 1 million seconds equals 11.7 days. 1 trillion seconds equals 31,709 years.
Holy shit.
Yeah. I don't know if that's true.
That is true.
Is it?
A million seconds is like 2 weeks. 1 billion seconds is like 35 years, and 1 trillion seconds is like 37,000, something like that.
That's a big time mind blown stat that Wade. Thank you, Wade, for letting us know about that. Holy shit. So it's a lot of dollars. So I mean,
we might need a Wade Phillips fact daily. That was pretty interesting.
Yeah, notifications on. Before we get to piracy, and by the way, there would definitely be a pirate that would steal the $1 trillion coin.
Oh, booty.
I mean, everyone
Ultimate
in the
booty.
world would be trying to steal that $1 trillion coin.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool. It's like the ultimate game of capture the flag.
But it'd be kind of stupid though. Yeah, that's kind of stupid. Once you get it, then what? Like
You can't do anything. Well, maybe you could take out no, because it's stolen.
then it's hot potato. Like if somebody knows you
Western
got it,
Union.
Just take out a loan,
Just pawn it.
use it as collateral in a huge $1 trillion loan.
Take it to Pawn Store. So what do you want to do with this? You want to pawn it?
Can only do 500 billion.
Yeah.
That's half the price.
I got a guy, he's an expert in this sort of thing. He'll come take a look at it. You mind hanging out for a second?
Ben Bernanke comes
Yeah.
out the back.
But before we get to piracy, I had one football related question, and then we'll get to the Tennessee Minute. Then we'll get to piracy. But Arian, I was watching the Giants play yesterday, and it was
Sorry about that.
Giants versus the Saints,
They won.
and the Giants ended up winning. And
Saquon was on my fantasy team, so
yeah,
he finally came through.
he played really well yesterday, and they started doing this thing where they split him out wide a bunch. And I was wondering from your perspective, because you used to play out in the slot sometimes, you had decent hands. Why don't more teams what? What?
Avery, please pull up Chicago Bears 2012 diving goal line catch with no gloves on in the rain. Don't disrespect my hands like that.
Diving goal line catch, no gloves in the rain.
No gloves in the rain.
Would you tape your fingertips in the rain, or just go straight?
No, I'm a running back. No.
So no gloves. Was that a normal thing for you, or did you usually wear gloves?
In the rain, I took the gloves off because it was just I trusted my God gave us these
Did he now?
Oh yeah. God allowed us to evolve from fish so that when our hands get soaked, they naturally look like aquatic species. That's true. That's why we raising up in the bathtub. But anyway, the hands I trust more than the gloves. So anytime it rained, I just taped the wrist and I took the gloves off.
I'm trying to find this clip. I can't. You got it?
It's there, dog.
All right, I'm gonna have to. Maybe I'll refine my earlier comment once I watch it.
Nigga said decent hands. Boy, you crazy as hell.
We'll get to your original question.
Okay, I'm watching it right now. Matt Schaub. Now, you didn't give Matt Schaub credit for a great pass on this.
That is a great put that thing right outside of Lance Briggs and right in my pocket. That was good shit.
Okay, that was a good catch.
Wait, hold on. The Texans have this as their 52nd best play of all time. Is that
Listen,
there's no chance the Texans have more than 50 top plays to begin with. So certainly this needs to be higher than 52.
I can't call. I don't make those calls, man. No, I just when my number was called, I did what I could.
That was a bad game. It was a 10-6 final. I mean, that's a grind out.
No fucking passing, bro. It was windy as shit, raining, and they stacked the box 8 or 9 every fucking play.
That was a good defense you were playing against too.
Yeah, that was Urlacher, that was Peanut, Tillman, Lance Briggs. They had a squad.
I'm gonna ask something. Was this reviewed?
I'm
not
out of here.
I'm not entirely convinced.
Every scoring play is reviewed. Big Terrence
back then.
If that was called incomplete on the field, it wouldn't have been overturned. That's all I'll say.
No, good thing you don't know shit about football.
Did you survive the ground with a catch? So you land on the ball, but the ball doesn't move. Big T.
That's a catch.
It's close.
Of course, it's a catch.
No,
I tuck it and it doesn't move on the ground. I tucked it before.
It's probably a catch. It's probably a catch.
That was before we.
And big hater vibes on that couch, cousin.
All right, so you had above average hands.
Okay, now, so you want me to do another one? I can give you another example. I'm just saying.
You had good hands for running back. You were able to catch the ball.
Crazy. let's put up. I get it to you like this. I was before my time as far as receiving running backs is concerned, right? And this is why. When we was in training camp, I used to line up against the ones, and our one corner, right? And I used to run routes on them, and I used to dog cats. I'm just saying, I was before they would not do it in Gary Kubiak's scheme. Like there just was no room for that. Like, and so he didn't really. There was a couple times he split me out, but like his scheme was his scheme. It wasn't until Bill O'Brien got there that they started really moving me around, and I was running option routes and everything, and that's when my game opened up a little bit more. But then I got hurt, so that hand shit you gotta just check around for me, man. You know what I'm saying?
I'll walk it back a little bit. So you and Saquon is a little bit like that, where he has good hands. He's like a legitimately good.
How come he gets good hands and I get above average? I don't understand this shit. But go ahead, man. I will preface this with I think Saquon Barkley is one of the most talented running backs that this league has seen. He's got the injury bug right now.
So you're the perfect person to ask about this, because I think that more head coaches should take those types of running backs and have them just run routes on the outside. If you can't be tackled by a cornerback in the open field when you have the ball, you should be able to put those same moves on a cornerback and get open when you're running a route, right? Or is there like a difference that I'm not aware of?
I mean, that's what they do, right? So corners they have great hips, right? And so they're good at tailing, but they're not good at being physical with a running back. They can be physical with other wide receivers. Some wide receivers, like, you can't be physical with, but it's a different dynamic when you're one-on-one and you're standing up and you're trying to do this rather than running at somebody. Like this it's a different dynamic, but you're not wrong in theory. And this is why I used to lobby for this, right? I went to Gary Kubiak, and I was like, because we have a 5-wide package, right? And I used to say, why the fuck do you take me out on the 5-wide package? That makes no sense. To put in your second tight end, right? Your second tight end is your 5th receiver, who is nowhere near as athletic as me, can't catch better than me, can't run routes better than me, can't exploit matchups better than me. Why am I off the field on 3rd down in a 5-wide? Like, this doesn't make any sense. And like, once I kind of explained my position, I was more so involved in that passing game with the 5-wide option, but not as much as nowhere near as much as I should have been. Football is based on tradition, period. They think they come from systems. So like, whoever, like, let's see, like Kubiak or like Kyle Shanahan came from Kubiak. Kubiak came from Mike Shanahan, right? And he came from like a West Coast offense. Like, it just keeps going back and back and back. And they have their traditions and they have their tweaks on their offensive schemes. But for the most part, it's rare that you have innovative coaches that do things out of the box. It's just very rare. They do what works, and what works is what I was taught, and that's it. There's no linebacker that can guard Saquon Barkley out of the backfield. They just can't do it. Mm-hmm. And they need to exploit that all the time. And that's what they try to do most of the time, but they just get stuck in tradition. Like, there's gonna be a coach somewhere along that breaks all of this shit up one of these days. But they just stuck in their ways.
He's existed.
Who's that?
Come on now. Who's been throwing a running backs the last 20 years? Patriots. We consistently.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you're right. They do. But what I don't like about them is
everything.
Yeah, that's the way they treat their players, man. It's like disposable. Yeah, they do innovative shit, but they're more so like, you can be replaced, which is obviously not true.
We play both sides of the coin on that, because like, James White's been here for a decade. I'm blanking on the receiving running back we had before that. Shane Vereen was here for a long time before that. Kevin
Falk was.
Kevin Falk was before that. So it's like, we've only had those 3 guys play that role for the last literally 20 years. So it's right. Like, if you're here and it's like, oh yeah, like Matthew Slater's been here since I believe the late 1970s. Like, if you're one of Bill's guys, like, Hightower will never leave. Like, he keeps those guys. He just won't. Like, Chandler Jones is a great example, like someone who's still a monster, still in his prime. We just knew, like, why are you going to pay? I think paying top DNs is tough roster building to begin with, but it is hard when you have to give up someone in his prime just because you want to pay. Like, I saw something a few years ago. It's like the Patriots pay the most $5 to $7 million contracts in the league. Right. Everyone else is pretty much working off the 2 extremes of minimum players and like the Bears, for example, like Khalil Mack makes so much money. It's hard to roster build in the middle. Meanwhile, we're just hitting all these like Amendolas, like $5 million guys. And it's hard to argue against it.
I was just looking at the Texans top 100 to see if there are any more Arian Foster plays. And you were ranked number 17 for your 231-yard, 3-touchdown game against the Colts. Remember that one?
That wasn't even a play, though.
Yeah, it's not a play.
Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it just. I think it was just like. Together? I think it's just Texans top 100 moments.
Like moments.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It was a pretty good moment. It was all right. They got a lot of sentimental shit in there. Like, I remember one, like with the Texans, like Love is like the first time they beat the Cowboys, and it was like, you still was like what, like 3-13 that year. Like, who gives a fuck?
I'm looking over the Presbyterian Blue Hose football team. They're the team that's coached by the guy that doesn't punt. He's the closest that we've come recently to seeing a guy that just looks at the game of football completely differently from everybody else.
He doesn't punt.
Never doesn't punt. He actually punted against Campbell.
And onside kicks every time.
Yeah, he onside kicks every time. He's
he's won like 8 state championships in Arkansas in a row.
Yeah, he has like 20 different onside kick packages, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's insane. Like, it's crazy. And their season, I'll let PFT, but now that he's in college, that season's been crazy.
So they won their first game 84-43. They won their second game against TBD 68-3. and then they lost to Campbell 72-0. So when it goes bad, it can go really, really bad when you're going for it on 4th and 30 from your own 5-yard line. Things can turn around pretty quickly on you. And then he lost to Dayton last week, 43-63. So he's fun to watch. But the other thing that I think I might have read an article that said that he's considering implementing my system, which I've been trying to push for the last 5 years or so. Every time I talk to an NFL coach, I always tell them about this because I'm firmly convinced it's going to be the future of offensive football, to implement planned, designed downfield laterals, not just not on the hook and ladder necessarily, because that's a play that everybody sees coming. That, like Arian was saying, that's something that gets passed down from coach to coach to coach, and now it's kind of a part of the game because other coaches have done it. But I'm talking about you throw, I don't know, like a 5-yard dig route, and then you have a running back that's coming up that knows where the pass is going to be caught, and he's there to accept a lateral as the wide receiver is getting tackled. And you can get huge chunk plays moving downfield if you do it correctly, and if you're not dumb about it, you're not just throwing the ball all over the place. But coaches are terrified of turnovers and losing the turnover battle. And
your qualifier there is the big thing. If you don't do it dumbly, like your risk versus reward is, I don't think if you weigh those options.
Oh, the reward's huge though. On plays where you're able to offload, and here's the thing, Arian, the risk becomes minimized the more you train at it and the more you work at it. So if you watch like the Fijian Sevens rugby team practice and the way they play, these guys grow up understanding that there's a way that you can carry the ball into contact to keep it safe and have it ready to offload to your teammate who's coming up behind you. So if you drill it in and get good at it, and you have the plays designed ahead of time where you don't have to do it on every play, but you can have a handful of plays during the game. I actually think that the Kansas City Chiefs offense would be perfect at this. They would be unstoppable if they were to implement some of it. And so when you're able to pull off a successful offload, your chances of gaining like 20, 30, 40, 50 yards on a play are huge. The percentages go way, 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 way up. But then if you fuck up, it's a problem.
But those percentages going up are of the minimal percentages that you have of completing that pass in the first stage. To complete a dig route, right, with a defense rushing you and then a whatever defensive coverage you're in, it's not a very high rate anyway. And so you're working from a skewed number there to begin with. So the fact that it's a low percentage of completing that pass in the first place, then it's going to be a lower percentage of actually executing your lateral down the field play. You might as well just.
I'm telling you, like Patrick Mahomes, he throwing like 65, 70% completion rate. And on some of those, he knows that he's going to have a receiver open in this space. And so if you design a play to run a secondary guy into that space at the time of the catch, I'm telling you, people have been calling me crazy for the last 5 years, but it's going to happen one day. And
I don't know these numbers, but you look at his 60% completion rate, right? That's not his 60% down the field completion rate, right? That's not his dig route completion rate. Like if you do those numbers, I'm pretty sure it's around a 20 to 30%.
Well, I also, are you talking like a 10-yard comeback PFT?
You could do a 10-yard comeback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that could work in like a prevent, if they're playing a prevent defense and just leaving the middle of the field wide open because they want to run the clock out, and you have a guy open just in the middle where they want him to be open, and then you have someone coming around to then like get to the sideline.
See, what I'm experiencing right now is exactly what you're doing, the thing, Arian, that Bill O'Brien did to you, where you've been around the game for so long. Oh yeah, that Kubiak did to you. You've been around the game for so long, you refuse to acknowledge that maybe an outsider with a fresh perspective might see things a little bit differently.
Nah, if it's an innovative thing, and I'm like, yo, that shit could possibly work, my mind is wide open. I don't fuck what it is. That shit sounds actually stupid though.
I think the hook and ladder could work more, like because they only use it end of game scenarios. So I think defenses are less likely to be waiting for it in like the middle of the second quarter. I don't think every like dig route should have an option to pitch it. Like it sounds like you're pitching here.
I'm not saying,
I think that's
I'm not saying every dig route. I'm not saying every certain type of route. I'm saying you have it drawn up in specific cases at first until your team gets good at the skills that are required to pull it off. You have it drawn up for specific players to do it at specific times, at specific parts of the field. and you gradually implement it. You can't just go out there and start running like a rugby sevens offense just one Sunday out of nowhere. There's a lot of stuff that goes into it. Like I said, like your body position and your hand position when you're going into contact. If you watch the Fijian team play, they're masters at it. They will get lit up. They will get absolutely smoked by some of the biggest athletes in the world, but they'll have their body positioned in a way that they keep it free, and with a flick of the wrist, they send it to their teammate who takes it 90 yards for a try. So
that's also that's the whole game. You know what I mean? That's like Iverson being able to like cross over and pass with his left. Like, yeah, that's his whole, like, that's the whole crux of the game. I think it'd be hard when, I think one thing, at least I overstate in my mind, is like, Arian, like through a regular week of practices, like how many plays are you even like running through? Is it all of them, or is it just like a handful?
No, you have your base set of plays that your bread and butter, and then you have something that you game plan for the other team, right? So like whatever their you're trying to exploit their defense's weakness. So if they're heavy cover 3, you have cover 3 beaters. If they're heavy, that's what you try to do. But the hard part is practicing that throughout the week would be hard because you only have a limited amount of time to practice, right? So you have scenarios that coaches do, right? So like the majority of the game is played between the 20s, right? From the 20 to the 20. But then you have red zone packages. You have goal line packages. You have third down packages. You have all this shit that you have to fit in there, and then to throw the hook and ladder. It would just be tough to mitigate that because turnovers are the biggest reasons that people lose games. Like it flips momentum. And so like the risk versus reward, that's why I say, I mean, the risk, the reward is huge, but the risk, my G, I'm not sure if it's worth it.
All right, well, we'll see. We'll see, Arian. I just want you to know that when it does happen, when it starts working successfully, who told you about this first?
I love being wrong. That means I learned something, man.
Yeah, they crucified Jesus too, you know? So, right, Big T?
That is true, yeah.
Allegedly.
The only thing I want to see more in football, because I saw it again last night, and I think everyone in the world agrees the goal line fade is the worst play in football. You talk about never working. What, Arian?
It depends on the receiver, my guy.
I think it depends more on the throw than the receiver.
Your chances go up if you got Megatron out there. Your chances go up if you got Andre Johnson out there.
The Falcons lost a playoff game because they threw a goal line fade to Julio Jones.
That's true. They sure did.
Falcons lost a lot of playoff games for a lot of different reasons.
Yeah, but you're correct.
Point, counterpoint.
I'm saying the fade can be very effective, but it depends on the matchup. It depends on if your number one corner is 5'10" or 5'11", and I have a 6'4" number one who can jump, I'm taking that. But it a lot of like I'm not throwing a fade to Richard Sherman in his prime, right? You know what I'm saying? Because he's a little lankier. It didn't make a lot of sense, you know?
For sure. But most of the ones I watch are quarterbacks throwing it into the third row because they have no touch or feel around that area. So it just ends up being a wasted down. But a play I see work 100% of the time is a play action to a wide open tight end. And the goal line, the tight end, for some reason, is open 100% of the time. And I don't know how that's not everyone's first and second down attempt.
It's tough because that shit happens. I'll tell you why. That shit happens on a goal line. Everything happens so fast. Like when you in it, like it's everybody's moving. So when you're like the game speeds up, like the shorter amount of yards you have to get. So when you're on one of those situations, when the linebacker or safety is looking at the tight end, he sees him dip. Your first reaction is run. It's rare that you can like read that and if he blocks and he peels off. It's just rare that you can recover from that. So,
which is why
100%. No, you ain't wrong. I've seen a lot of wide open tight ends. My first touchdown pass was to a tight end. My only touchdown pass.
Huh. Love that.
Was that in the red zone? Was that a short pass, long pass?
Owen Daniels?
Yep, red zone. No, it was I forget his first name. It's my guy, man. Fedorowicz. CJ Fedorowicz, CJ Fedorowicz. It was a sweep to the right. He was playing Baltimore in 2014. Bill O'Brien let me cook, man. So I told him, I was like, yo, I got a better arm than your quarterback. I used to fuck with him all the time. I think I feel like I do. But we sweep to the right, tossed it over the head. It wasn't a good throw because it was contested though. It was actually pretty nice.
This is the best press Bill O'Brien's ever got this episode.
Listen, bro, I tell people all the time, listen, Bill O'Brien is a good offensive coach. He knows what he's doing. He's smart as shit. He's very he's innovative. The issue is just like any human being, which would be a good segue to our art of war thing. But when people get power and they taste that, they think their way is the only way. So the biggest thing I always tell people, like when they start a business or something like that, right, is if you want your workers to feel like you're working with them and not for them. I mean, working with you and not for you, right? When people get power, it just takes over everything that they do. So it becomes they micromanage everything, and rather than delegating responsibility and letting people that you trust execute the job that you trust them with, they just get over. They try to overcompensate. I don't know if it's an ego thing or whatever it is, but for some reason, he let that shit swallow him, and he had to micromanage everything. And all of a sudden, he's GMing and he's head coaching. It's like this is a lot of responsibility rather than like, dog, your bag is fucking offensive football. Like, stay there. He was good at it, dog. I'm telling you, he's really good at it, dog.
He's going to go back to New England at some point. He said that he was trying to get fired when he was in Houston for a little bit. He wanted to get fired so he could go back to New England and take over for Bill Belichick in the future.
He said no. He didn't say. He said that.
Yeah, very recently. It came out recently.
Yeah, the report came out recently. I don't think the quote was directly from Bill O'Brien. It was one of these things where Seth Wickersham is writing like a behind the scenes story of the New England Patriots, and part of that is he's talked to a lot of people that knew some of the assistant coaches that went elsewhere and tried to coach for different teams. And somebody that was in the know with Bill O'Brien said that at some point Bill O'Brien was trying to get fired so he could go back because he couldn't stand the way that the Texans were being run. So he was trying to get fired so he could go back to New England. Again, I don't think that's directly from Bill O'Brien, but it's in some book that's coming out.
Sources said. Yeah. So that was interesting. That was a good talk. We got to talk some actual football on the show. And, you know, even though, Aaron, you may have played the game for a couple of years and you were a decent pass-catching running back, I think you still have a lot to learn about the future of offensive football. But that's fine. That's all good.
You would have to change the game at the youth level for that to be implemented.
Okay.
Like that type of skill.
There's always a million reasons not to do something that will change people's lives, Billy.
I think what PFT was saying, though, that guy at Presbyterian is insane enough to do it.
Yes, he is.
Because, I mean, he did 2 or 3 other things that nobody else would ever consider.
You have to have a coach that has ironclad job security. Like if Jerry Jones went back and started coaching the Cowboys, which I'm not ever putting that completely out of the question, Jerry Jones could do something like this. But besides that, I don't see an NFL coach who's not Belichick or like Andy Reid maybe having the stones to be able to implement it and having the buy-in from the ownership that, hey, you're going to be good, you're set. But like I'm saying, the Chiefs, I think, would be the perfect team to try this out with. So let's talk Tennessee football. Tennessee Minute.
Oh, let's do it. If you're a hater, turn away.
Turn away from your stereo.
It's going to be a tough week for the haters.
Face away from wherever you're holding your phone. So put your phone down and then look away. You don't want to be in Big T's face for the Tennessee Minute because they dropped a 60 burger on Mizzou. Now, Big T, to be fair, Tennessee was favored to win this game by what, 20 points?
We were a 3-point underdog.
Oh, wow. That sucks. Sucks for Missouri fans. I didn't know that. Crazy.
Now, Arian, as someone who is not, you said this offense wouldn't work. Did you see any of the game?
I did not. I still stand by that statement, though.
All right, so I've got a couple numbers for you. For those who don't know, Tennessee went into Columbia, Missouri, and beat the Missouri Tigers 62-24. It was actually 69. They took a touchdown away from us at the goal line. That was actually the only drive we didn't score on. We didn't punt in a game for the first time since 2009. 28 first quarter points, the most since 2000. 5th ever 60-point SEC game. 683 yards of offense, 458 of it on the ground. And Tennessee gained 35 first downs in the game on only 31 minutes of possession. It was the best offensive performance I've ever seen from Tennessee.
Wow. I am happy for those kids' performance. I still don't think that offense is going to work.
Okay. Now, granted, Missouri was an atrocious defense. I mean, truly despicable.
Well, I think that's what you have to account for. So to say this is the best offensive game I've ever seen Tennessee play, like,
but I mean, they did.
How do you even gauge? Like, why is How can you say that?
I'll tell you what I loved is that Tyon Evans, one of our running backs, during the week, somebody asked him like what they'd seen from Missouri's defense, and he kind of laughed and said, "We're gonna have some fun. That's all I'll say." And then they went out there and rushed for 460 yards. I do love that Heupel and the coaching staff obviously saw something that they knew they could exploit. They went out there and just rammed it down their throat. Like, that makes me excited for the future. Now, are they going to do that to every team? Obviously not. But that got me excited.
You know, I'm super happy that they did that to the other team. But that shit is just not. It's just not going to work in any kind of real way for any longevity throughout the season. It's not going to work.
You know who the defensive coordinator was for Missouri?
I didn't know this until the game, and I heard who it was. I was shocked.
I didn't either. This is crazy. Steve Wilkes.
Yeah.
The former, people forget Steve Wilkes coached the Cardinals for a year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Steve Wilkes is now the defense coordinator at Missouri, giving up whatever Big T just said, like record amounts of yards, just an embarrassing amount of yards to the University of Tennessee. That's quite a fall for Steve Wilkes to go from NFL head coach to that.
He kept his job. Their defensive line coach got fired.
Okay. I guess, yeah, you got to throw somebody under the bus after that, right?
I'll never understand that shit. That coaching carousel, like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. It's not coaches have somewhat. I think the head coach can change the morale of a squad or whatever, but like, it's the players, bro. Like, you either a dog or you not. Like, you can play or you can't play. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, how one coach can excel with great players, but not excel with average players, and they don't see that. I don't know, man. It just doesn't make any sense to me, though.
A lot of times after a game like that, coaches will just get into fights with each other, and then they'll form little factions, and then whoever's like angriest during the fight gets fired, because that way they can feel like they've made a change or taken a step in a different direction from where they're going.
Has there ever been, and this is what I don't understand about those kind of impulse decisions, like, what is this, game 4 or 5, something like that?
5, yeah.
Has there ever been a firing of a coach and then the team completely turns around?
That's a very good question.
Like, even if there has been, that would be the outlier, right? The majority of the time, that team still sucks because it wasn't necessarily the coach, right? The people might not like the coach, not get along, whatever the case may be, but like, the players probably weren't that good, or they didn't get along, not a good chemistry, whatever the case may be. But like, making a change like that don't make no sense to me.
That was Coach O's whole career until LSU. Was he would take over for someone who got fired, and that team would immediately go on a run every single time. And then he would stick around as the head coach, and they would fall right off the face of the earth again. So whatever he was doing when they inserted him mid-season was working, and then he would get that recruiting off season. He'd show up next August, and that team would stink. It wasn't until LSU, with one of the most loaded rosters in college football history, did he. Give me an
example of this Coach O thing. So like, the team was shit before he took over head coach, and then all of a sudden they go undefeated or something like that. Right?
Yeah, as an interim head coach, it happened at USC for sure, where he took over in the middle of the season, and then they saw a noticeable improvement. At LSU, they had an improvement too when he took over there, and then he got Joe Burrow. He recruited Joe Burrow, credit to him, and they went on a nice little run for the next couple of years. But yeah, Ed Orgeron he's the guy that's like, okay, if you need an interim head coach, if you absolutely have to have somebody step in and give you like a bolt of energy, Ed's the guy that does it. But I think Arian's right overall that it usually doesn't work out like that. Bruce Arians would be another good case but that's a little bit different. So he stepped in for Chuck Pagano when Chuck Pagano had cancer and he was getting treatments for it. And after a couple games, I want to say that Pagano was 1-2, something like that. And then he had to step away, asked Arians to coach the team in Indianapolis. Arians stepped in, and I think he went something like 10-3 in his next 13 games there. It was something along those lines, and that's what really gave him the opportunity to get the job down in Arizona the following year. But
I think that's what it is, bro. I think it's a noticeable difference, right? And I think the majority of those cases is either those head coaches had like a stranglehold on the players, like personality wise or something like that, and the new guy comes in and says, "Be yourselves and let's rock." and that gives them a little bolt of confidence, right? But like, has it ever been like, yo, we won something, like, or was it just like there was a noticeable difference when we changed?
Right. Yeah. I think you're right to that point. I don't think that's necessarily happened. I know when the only other people I can think of that even went on runs, when Lawrence Frank took over the Nets in the early 2000s, I want to say they ran off like 18 or 19 in a row. That was in the middle of the season.
Oh, I've got a good one. The Hawks this past year.
Yes, that is a good one.
Fired Lloyd Pierce in like January, February, whenever it was, and then damn near went to the NBA Finals.
Ty Lue, right? Didn't Ty Lue take over? Was that mid-year, or was that when they fired David Blatt? Was that after a season was over, or was that mid-season?
I think it was mid-season.
That was mid-year. I was gonna say Kevin Stefanski too, the Browns.
I would like to see the stats on that.
Wait, Stefanski, he took over. I think Freddie Kitchens got the entire year.
Yeah,
though.
no, Freddie Kitchens got the entire year.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah.
Kevin Stefanski.
Oh, Freddie Kitchens is a good example of somebody that took over, was decent during. Wasn't he the head coach for Cleveland when he took over?
I think so.
On an interim basis, or at least he was calling the plays, and then they just kept him around. It turns out, yeah, maybe Freddie Kitchens.
No, he was calling the plays. The interim was fucking that defensive coordinator.
Oh, Greg
Williams.
Greg Williams.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Greg Williams was.
But Freddie Kitchens was like calling all the plays.
Yeah, Freddie Kitchens just not a name that you can trust to be a head coach. I could have told you
No,
that.
I didn't trust him.
You know who his college roommate was at the University of Alabama? One of the worst football coaches to ever live.
No, I don't know.
Jeremy Pruitt.
Wow, did not know that.
Yeah.
But again, Big T, no goal line fades because the Falcons tried it one time in a playoff game.
2017 in
Didn't win.
Philadelphia did it twice. Julio didn't catch either of them, and we lost.
Was that a goal line fade problem or a Julio problem?
I'm against the play generally, but he did catch the second one, and his second foot didn't come down in bounds.
If you were to ask Big T, like, is it a good thing or a bad thing to have a 28-3 lead in a Super Bowl? He'd be like, no, you don't want that. That's bad. You don't want to jump out.
I don't understand. No, I would say
what's
it's
the
generally
history
a
of
good thing.
28-3 leads in the Super Bowl? I'm sure it would lean towards not great.
That's tough. That was tough.
Yeah, UT got up 28-3 in the first quarter on Saturday, and I was like, fuck. I wanted them to miss the extra point. I was like, can we please like not make this extra point so it's not 28-3?
That's tough.
But yeah, whatever.
The football team also beat the Falcons this week.
They
And
did. The
That's
Falcons
the end of
are
the Tennessee Minute.
an abject joke, yeah.
Okay, so piracy. Let's talk piracy, boys and girls.
Yo, Billy ain't said shit for like 30 minutes, bro. I think he's just been over here cooking.
He's
really
really prepared.
Billy let it fucking loose, dog.
I got 41 pages on pirates.
Go off. Where do you want to start in terms of piracy?
Let's just
Billy?
talk about what's everyone's. Let's talk about classical pirates in pop culture.
birds. They have a bird on their
They have a
shoulder.
parrot. Okay, so let's make a list. Parrots,
Eye patch.
eye patch,
Peg leg.
peg leg.
Are we just doing shit that we think of when we think of pirates?
Yeah, just like classic pirate.
Sid Bream. rounding
Scurvy.
Scurvy. We're gonna just start separating fact from fiction on pirates. Ships.
Chests of gold. Chests filled.
What do
Yeah,
you guys-
yeah, treasure.
Treasure.
Yeah, just treasure.
So
Treasure
we got
hunters.
so we got parrots, we got peg legs, eye mask. So let's get into it. So
Run home, Jack. Run home, Jack. Y'all remember that Hook? Remember that Hook? Peter Pan jump.
Yep. That was a great
It
movie.
might have been before your time, Billy.
I think it was
Billy, just tell us right off the bat, how many of those is it fair to say should be associated with pirates?
almost all of them.
Okay.
Actually, really, the only thing that wasn't true about pirates was that the accent that they all had, that argumenti, that sort of that was more based off of dialect of a certain group of sailors from England that sort of was thought to be what a lot of the pirates sound like, because a lot of pirates were former naval officers or sailors who served for the Royal Navy in some of the many wars that occurred. Now we're talking about the golden age of piracy. That's about 1680 to 1720. That's where we get, a lot of the Pirates of the Caribbean's kind of around that time, and a lot of, the classical pirates. We're not talking Somali pirates.
Yeah,
Chinese pirates.
that was a time in the world where I feel like everybody was just moving jewelry around the globe. You know, like that was how you signified that you were either rich or you were a king or a monarch. You had a bunch of jewels and gold, and then you would either keep your jewels and gold or you'd tell your own pirates or privateers, go out and take this other country's treasure and bring it back to me so I can have it. So there was a lot of gold just kind of floating around the seas.
It was the peak of colonialism amongst all countries. So there's places like Spain, England, everyone was competing for resources and riches. And out of all the wars that came of that, you had a bunch of seafaring individuals who are very, very capable of violence. And some of them decided, hey, why am I, fighting wars and being violent for a wage in a country that exploits me when I could just grab a bunch of my friends, get a ship and start, becoming richer than some of the naval officers who commanded me in the British or Spanish Navy. And so a culture really developed out of these seafaring men who cross, sometimes you'd have ships filled with Spanish sailors and English sailors, Dutch, from a wide variety of backgrounds who just, came together for the
beautiful thing.
Yeah, it was one of the first times you'd have people from multiple countries, multiple backgrounds working together. It's actually quite interesting to think about in that way.
Sounds like New World Order.
Yeah, well,
yeah, right.
The pirates are globalists.
It turns out they were globalists. So, what's the difference between a privateer, a pirate, a buccaneer, a corsair? What's the difference between all those? Do you know?
So, a buccaneer was a name for a certain type of pirate that existed off of the Spanish coast. Down into they'd bounce around everywhere, but it was more considered about pirates around Spanish colonies. A privateer is a pirate who is hired by a government to sort of conduct, private contracting, and it will just only attack if the crown elicits a couple privateers to only attack Spanish ships so that their ships sail clean. But I want to get into
wait.
Yeah.
I just want to go over a couple things. Buccaneers were they attacked Spanish ships in the Caribbean.
Right. They were around the Spanish colonies raiding their ships.
Yeah, they're raiding the Spanish ships. Corsairs were Muslim or Christian pirates. So I guess that was just
So there was a battling, we'll get into that, but there was two sects of pirates in the Mediterranean who were almost battling over a Crusades type war, like a cultural battle. Basically, you had a bunch of the Knights of Malta Christian pirates who would fight these Barbary, more Muslim Ottoman Empire pirates. And it was just there was so much war on the high seas at this time. The pirates were actually the people who sort of skirted around and were just taking advantage of absolute chaos on the high seas.
Yeah, so one thing that you said a couple times that I absolutely love is the phrase the high seas.
Yeah.
I love just anything that happens on the high seas sounds instantly more intriguing and romantic. What is the high seas?
So the high seas is when you get out into the ocean, the waves are much higher. So it's a lot high. The waves are higher.
Okay.
So it's
you're higher up.
So
but you're also
up
at sea level
and down, right?
But you're going up, and then you're on the high seas, and then low seas.
Well, low seas is closer to shore. It's not as rough. It's a little calmer. But when you get out on the high seas, waves are huge. Think Deadliest Catch.
Gotcha. It just sounds cool to say.
So I just wanted to go talk about some of the common tropes of pirates, parrots, peg legs, and all that. So a lot of them actually had a lot of dual usages. So for example, one of the reasons why parrots were so popular is that a lot of pirates would buy super cheap parrots from the ports where they were leaving, be it in South America.
There's a lot of alliteration going on right now for me. I'm not mature enough to not let it pass.
But parrot,
a lot of
pirates
and privateers would purchase parrots from the ports.
No, but basically, parrots, what they do is the parrots would be for sale at many of these ports places, markets. People are selling all sorts of stuff at these ports near the colonies, be it in Africa, South America.
It was like buying a piece of gum on your way out of the supermarket. It's right there at the cash
But
register.
what they would do is they'd buy these parrots and then feed the parrots on their voyage because they couldn't have any other pets on the high seas because large dogs are too big. Monkeys were also considered a pet, but they were also a little too, big to be having on the ships. So they choose parrots. And what they do is they would speak English or whatever language to the parrot and just feed it, and the parrot being around people speaking would end up picking up the language. And then once they would get into a port city like London or Lisbon, they would then sell the parrot for a much higher amount than they bought it, because everyone in London wanted a parrot that could speak and you know, talk like a pirate. Like, it was one of those things. They'd flip parrots.
Flip the birds.
Yeah, they'd flip the birds.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's cool.
So that's why they all.
Why
had
wouldn't the parrots fly away?
They clipped their wings. There was a bunch of little things that they did to the parrots.
Okay.
But also it got, lonely at sea. So having a parrot was always a good. And that wasn't just pirates. Tons of different sailors would have exotic birds and try to keep them back to their home ports. But pirates also were one of the first people to have a form of disability compensation. So crew members who lost limbs and would have pegs or hooks, they actually would get residual compensation, like workers' comp, if they've lost a certain amount of limbs. So a guy who had one leg and one arm, or one leg and one hand, would get paid differently depending on how many limbs he had lost.
So they did have some socialist aspects.
They had tons of codes, as they will, and I have a couple of them from different types of captains that we can read.
I've wondered that about the codes. When it comes to the different groups of pirates, I would assume that each group would have different specifics, things that they value, things that are important to them that they put into the codes. Or do they have like different specific names? Like, is it called just the Pirates Code, or?
Well, each captain had a different list of codes, and a lot of them had very similar codes. And a resounding many of them had elements of democracy in them. So, for example, from the articles of Bartholomew Roberts, his first, part of his code is every man has a vote in affairs of moment, has equal title to the fresh provisions or strong liquors, at any time seized, and may use them at pleasure, unless a scarcity, not an uncommon thing among them, makes it necessary for the good of all to vote a retrenchment. So, and this is in almost every code, the first rule is sort of this vote of equality and everyone having a voice.
They had elections.
Yeah.
But they also there were elections, but then once somebody got elected to the position of power, it was illegal to try to have an election to get them out, because then that's a mutiny, right?
Well, the mutiny,
I guess it's only a mutiny if you lose.
A mutiny isn't technically illegal by pirate laws.
Okay.
By maritime law, if you commit mutiny against a captain, you can be, because that was usually in a military setting, then you'd have to be tried. A lot of the reason why a lot of these pirates got away with so much for so long is that they had to be tried at their port of exit. So, for example, if you were an Englishman and you were a pirate, you had to be tried back in London. And the thing is, a lot of these guys would never get back to London to be tried.
Okay.
So it was out of a jurisdiction.
Yeah, so they could just commit crimes, and just as long as no one captured them and brought them back, they would never be held accountable.
So I read that when you became a pirate, so you would sometimes switch from being a privateer to being a pirate. It was called going on the account. When you signed up for a ship, going on the account, which is where I think the phrase like on account of, you know, when you say like, I can't make it tomorrow on account of I have a doctor's appointment. But I think that's where it comes from.
Some of the accessories pirates had actually had a lot more, a lot of the pirates who wore eye patches, some of them did lose their eye, but some of them also used it to combat the differences in lighting in the cabin or being out in the hot sun. So imagine, when you walk inside after being in the sun for a long time, it's hard for your vision to adjust.
Not me.
Not you, exactly. But
yeah.
So what they would do is they'd have one eye covered. So when they had to see in the dark after being in the bright light, they would just switch the eye patch so their eyes were adjusted already to the dark.
It's pretty genius. Yeah.
Yeah. So for example, if you're like, close one eye for a super long time, when you open that eye, it's like sensitive to the light. That's because it's adapted to the dark.
You've got one eye for outside and one eye for inside.
Because a lot of these times when the pirates were fighting in battles, they'd be fighting on the deck in the sun, and then they'd have to go under the deck, which was much darker. And they'd have to have their eyes adjust to the differences in order to do whatever things they had to do.
What about parlay? Is parlay a thing? I remember that from Pirates of the Caribbean, and it sounds like it might be real. Where if you get captured by a group of pirates, you can invoke parlay, which is French for to speak, and then that means that you get to talk to the head pirate, and you get to try to convince him that you shouldn't be executed.
Well, most of the times they weren't just capturing people to execute them.
They were capturing them, hold them hostage, try
Right.
to get money for them.
Yeah. Blackbeard actually very famously held hostage a whole town in Charlestown, South Carolina. I think.
Charleston?
Charleston. No, wait. He held the whole town captive, and actually really they had to his pirate force was able to literally take over this whole sort of colony.
Pirates to me just sound like the ultimate example of dudes rocking all the time. If you want to get away from it all, just go on an adventure with the boys. Sign up to be a pirate. Go on the account. They had rules that most pirate ships did not allow women pirates because they thought
Shocking.
because they thought it was unlucky to have women on board. I don't know if that's
Well,
I don't know if that's the real reason why.
there was actually tons of women pirates, but that was rare cases, but many of them were extremely successful.
Yeah, I imagine if you were committed to that life as a woman, you could probably use a lot of things to your advantage and take advantage. Because guys, I would imagine a guy pirate would be not that dissimilar from how they're portrayed in cartoons. Like dumb as shit, drunk, very easily tricked. Probably the most gullible people. So if you're able to be a successful woman pirate, that I could see a few of them being very, very successful at that.
Yeah, so there was two pirates, Anne Bonny and Mary Read were the only two pirates sober enough to fight when their ship was attacked during the night. All the other pirates were quite drunk and cowered below deck while they fought off the attacking ship. So those were two female pirates.
Slay.
There's actually a bunch of girl boss pirates.
Yeah, they were girl
Do you want to hear
bosses.
another girl boss pirate?
Uh-huh.
This girl boss pirate was from China.
Slay.
Slay Queen. Why would you ever want to go into battle sober? If you had the choice. If someone's like, "Hey, do you want this cup of rum
Swashbuckle.
before you fight?" Yeah, I think I'll numb myself a little bit. I certainly wouldn't be staying down in the galley with the boys just shitting on each other.
Madame Ching is thought to have been one of the most powerful pirates in history. She had a fleet of 300 ships with 20,000 to 40,000 men obeying her orders, and she took over so in 1810, the Chinese government promised amnesty and pardon to all Chinese pirates. So she had so much wealth and power that she decided to end her career as a pirate. And then she opened a gambling house, which she operated until her death in 1844.
She went legit.
Yeah.
It's like the mafia opening casinos out in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
That's smart.
So
Pirates are just gangs. They're just water gangs.
They are. They're water gangs for sure. So, I mean, the way that Billy was describing early, that lines up perfectly with that. It's like there are places that are somewhat lawless. So you just team up and you band together with people that come together either in your neighborhood or people that you just meet up with. And it's like, okay, we'll be stronger together and we'll enforce our own laws if there aren't any laws that are going to protect us out here.
Speaking of the laws, reading some more of these by Bartholomew Roberts. So we had that first one about everyone having the same say. And do you want me to just read through them? We can all.
Yeah.
So the second one is every man to be called fairly in turn by list on board of prizes because over and above their proper share, they were on these occasions allowed a shift of clothes. But if they defrauded the company to the value of $1 in plate, jewel, or money, marooning was their punishment. If the robbery was only betwixt one another, they contented themselves with slitting the ears and nose of him that was guilty, set him on shore, not in an uninhabited place, but somewhere where he was sure to encounter hardships.
Okay.
Marooning was crazy.
Marooning was huge. I've read about that. So if you got charged with, I guess, if you tried to lead a mutiny that didn't work out, or you did something fucked up, they would just take you to an actual desert island, and they give you a couple supplies to stay there, and just be like, okay, here you go, you're on your own, good luck. And so then they just die slowly over the course of months.
Some of them were given a pistol with one bullet when they were dropped off.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
What do you do with that bullet? Kill Hitler. You wait it out.
You wait it out.
Yeah.
Pass it down from family to family.
There's this gun is going down through generations. What about walking the plank?
That was
I was going to ask about that one.
Yeah, so there was actually a ton of different punishments that they would do. Walking the plank wasn't as popular as it may seem. They would usually just throw people overboard if they sought that, but the walking the plank comes from an instance where it was popularized because basically a lot of pirates are bored, and I think what they did a lot of was just super cruel shit that they got like a rush from. So the walking the plank was, in some instances, they'd have prisoners walk on the plank and then shoot at their feet or shoot cannonballs straight at them and tell them to jump before they got hit. So described rarely used despite its widespread notoriety, this punishment involved pirates forcing captives or members of their own crew to be blindfolded before walking across a plank hanging from the side of the ship and plunging into the ocean. One of the only known accounts of such occurrences featured the crew of a Dutch ship that was captured by pirates in 1829. Pirates fastened shot, cannon, and musket balls to the victims' legs and then forced them to walk the plank one at a time. Yeah, so these guys were pretty brutal. I mean, honestly, the way we talk about pirates today is probably like in maybe 200 years, they might talk about terrorists the way we talk about pirates. Because these guys were bad.
They were bad, yeah.
Like,
So do we need to disavow pirates?
let's disavow pirates.
Were there good pirates, though?
Honestly, no one was really good back then. Everyone was shitty by modern standards.
Is anybody good now?
I don't know.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I think. Wait, who do you think is good right now, Arian?
You talking about as a group of people or just individuals?
Yeah, well, I mean, you could say that some of the individuals on these ships probably did good things. I don't know. It just seems like you have to. It's tough to judge every era based on the standards of future eras. There are certain things that you can definitely compare and contrast and be like, yeah, that was evil, that was a bad thing. But if you're born, oh, Arian, you're looking like.
I hear that argument a lot, but I'm not sure I'm a proponent of it.
It's actually, yeah. The thing is, there was a sort of arms war between how cruel pirates could be to people they captured or people who try to take them down, and then how cruel the executions of pirates were when they started really cracking down on them. So like, there's tons of examples, just like have anyone remember that scene in Pirates of the Caribbean 2, I think it is, where they just have that one prison where like they're doing like gallows. Does anyone remember this? Jack Sparrow escapes in a.
That's the first, that's like the opening scene to the first one.
Is that the first one?
Yeah.
Where he escapes in the coffin? Yeah, that all that type of stuff. Like it was pretty nasty.
So
The weirdest shit in the world is I absolutely love Pirates of the Caribbean, but I have never stayed awake for it. Like I love everything that I've always seen, but I've tried to watch it at least 6 separate times, and I keep falling asleep. I don't know if it's the time that I'm watching or whatever, but it's like I actually love the movie. Like it's fun. I enjoy what I watch, but I always end up falling asleep. I don't know what that is.
it's very relaxing seeing some of the settings that they're in. There's some you're out on the seas, you're on tropical desert islands sometimes. I did read that Johnny Depp, when he was preparing for the role, he wanted to make his character Jack Sparrow seem like a cross between Michael Richards from the Rolling Stones and Pepe Le Pew. And I think if that's what he's going for, he did a pretty good job.
Fucking nailed it, yeah.
Yeah. One pirate that I did some reading on was Captain William Kidd. That's Billy the Kid. That's the first Billy the Kid. In 1696, I think the Queen gave him the assignment of hunting down pirates in the Indian Ocean. But then he turned pirate himself. He flipped. He got out on the seas, and then he started capturing vessels, and he killed a subordinate with a wooden bucket. And then most of his boys, they just bounced. They were like, "You've gone too far. We can't." I was down for stealing all these ships, but once you start slinging buckets at your crew members, we're out. And he had just a few people left for him. And then he stopped in at New York's Gardiner's Island, which is just off the coast of Long Island here. It's out by Montauk. And he buried his treasure out there. And then he eventually got caught. I think the East India Company from Great Britain caught him. They arrested him before he made it back to England. He was tried. He was executed. And then his body was strung up on the banks of the Thames. And then they went and they dug up his treasure. But I wonder if there's still, like, how much buried treasure do you think is actually out there to this day?
The thing is, with all that buried treasure stuff and people like have hidden treasure, the crews were so large that they would usually, like, one of the crew would go back, like, be it in how many years, and go get the treasure. Be it like a cabin boy or like another like person who knew where the treasure was. That was like probably one of the biggest ways to like show worth and get on a ship. Like, I know where there's buried treasure in Long Island. Like, I'll show it to you. And then they get free passage.
It'd be such a rush to discover buried treasure, wouldn't it?
A lot of pirates had retirement plans too. They would have like a system. They had
401ks.
Yeah, once they'd get enough booty, they would. They had extensive networks on land that kept them in touch with the outside world. So
you saying booty? Did you say once they get enough booty?
Yeah, once they get enough, Spanish doubloons. You know what I'm saying?
Once they get
gold coins.
Once they hit their max and cheeks acquired.
No, so basically there was like
What's the difference between booty and treasure?
I think it's the same thing.
No, I don't think so.
What? Let's look at the origin of the word.
Man, that's been that. Hold on. What are y'all talking about when you say booty? Are you talking about?
I'm talking about treasure.
Is that another name for it? Is that
pirate's booty.
Must not have been listening to that part.
It's a popular brand of popcorn, Pirate's Booty.
Yeah, I had no idea about
playing off the. It's supposed to be like treasure in your mouth, I guess. I don't know.
Pirate's Booty.
Also a great bet on the Barstool Sportsbook this year. I think it ended up like plus 25 units if you just bet against the Pittsburgh Pirates every single day.
So the word booty comes from the Middle Low German word boot, meaning exchange or distribution.
Okay.
So it's like stuff you exchange.
Okay. I feel like I could recognize the difference between treasure and booty if I saw it.
Okay. Bunch of gold coins.
Gold coins is treasure.
But that can be booty too, right?
Yeah.
If there's like a pearl necklace that's coming out of the gold coins halfway exposed, and then maybe a couple rubies sprinkled on top, then that's booty.
Well, see, I think if it's in a chest at all, I think it's immediately treasure.
Yeah, that's true. Depending on where,
I think they're interchangeable.
What vessel it's located in. What about the Jolly Roger?
So, yeah,
because I read that this is kind of cool. The original pirate flags were blood red, which was a good way to let people know, hey, like, shit's coming.
It's gangbanging.
Yeah.
So the pirates, a lot of the pirates would
they had paisley red flags.
A lot of the
Pyru pirates.
Yeah.
So they would sometimes fly false flags, and then once they got close enough to be in striking range of whatever ship they're going after, they'd raise the Jolly Roger or other iterations of the Jolly Roger. The Jolly Roger, for everyone wondering, is just the skull and crossbones black flag that everyone relates to.
You know where that came from? So if you were going on a voyage around the world, if you were setting sail, you'd have a log that you would keep track of everybody that was coming onto your ship, and you'd write their name down, where they're from, what they were being paid, all that stuff. If they died while at sea, they would do a skull and crossbones next to it to notate that person had died. And so the pirates took that symbol and they're like, hey, this is our flag now. And everybody just understood that means death. So yeah, they were probably bad guys. You're starting to talk me into the fact that we should probably disavow most pirates.
What's the point of swapping flags last second? Like, you've already got them. You've already got them right where you want them. Like, you got to add insult to injury. Like, that feels like high stepping at the 50 to me.
they pretend that they're, because if you do see a pirate ship, you can sort of run away from it if you have.
No, I get it. I get the deception part of it, but like at the last, like whose job, like what low level pirate has to be like the flag switcher?
Yeah. Or yeah, why do you switch flags at all? Why not just keep
Yeah,
fake
no, we're
flag?
still Spain. Keep them off your track. Have them mad at Spain or Portugal or some shit. Don't be like, oh no, it was pirates.
I think a lot of the crew were given
That was pirates.
I think there was that option that they could surrender and raise a white flag so that they
Yeah,
didn't
that's
have
true.
to fight.
That's true.
So
Good
it's like
point.
they pull up Jolly Roger, and then the person in the other ship's got to choose, like, are we going to surrender or are we going to fight
squabble
these
it
guys?
out.
Now,
Yeah.
what do you think somebody who was around in the 1700s or 1600s that experienced a pirate attack would think if they went to Raymond James Stadium and there were just pirate flags everywhere and everyone was like cheering for them and they had like a fake ship out there? They'd be like, what the fuck? These guys raped my wife. They murdered my entire family.
Yeah.
Like that'd be tough.
Yeah.
You said, look at you liberal cuck. Look at you. Yo, you done gone pirate woke, huh?
Yeah. The Tampa Bay B words.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is,
Tampa Bay football team. That's what I'm calling them from now on.
The Tampa Bay football team.
Yeah, why are pirates like the accepted line we've drawn of like clear murderers that we can turn into football and baseball team mascots? Like, why not? Why, like, if Kansas City, if they were like, all right, we're done with the Chiefs, we understand that's disrespectful, we're moving on. We're the Kansas City Khans for Genghis Khan. Like, we're gonna fucking run up the scoreboard on you every single week. Like, well, what's the difference between that and pirating?
I think murder has to have enough time pass before it's accepted to be like, yeah, fuck it, it doesn't matter anymore. Like, I don't think if it doesn't affect society and there's not like residual pain, like then it's like, yeah, fuck it,
Yeah.
we don't care anymore.
But you couldn't do the Seattle Stalins yet. I think that's still
That's too soon. It's 19 in the 40s. It just happened, right? So it's still residual pain there. I don't think you can do it. Yeah.
The Dallas like Harvey Oswalds are coming in 50 years.
It's too soon.
Yeah. I think it's like if it was around since the United States has been a thing, then I think it's more real and people are more likely to get upset about it. Right?
one of the United States' first wars and opponents besides the British were the Barbary pirates.
That's right. Yeah.
So
tell us a little bit about that war. Why did we decide to duke it out with them?
basically, the U.S. was getting into, naval commerce, and all their ships were going out and, trying to trade with different places, France, Spain, and the Barbary pirates were like, this new nation doesn't know shit about naval commerce. Let's start raiding their ships. And then we got into a war with them. They actually captured one of our admirals at the time, and that was America's first prisoner of war.
And how come there's so many different rums named after pirates?
Because they loved rum.
They loved rum.
Because think about it, rum was brewed near where the sugar canes and those plantations were, and then they took it to like England and distributed it.
Yeah. I also think that the fact that Disney has made so many movies about it, so many like cartoons, it's been featured so frequently in modern art, modern culture.
Yeah.
It makes it almost like it's just a story. Like it didn't actually happen.
They did some really fucked up shit. Like they would sell people into slavery, and if you surrendered, you didn't know, you wouldn't get killed, but they take all your shit and maybe sell you into slavery depending on how, like what happens, or take you captive. Julius Caesar was also held captive by pirates. It's actually a pretty badass thing. They held him captive and they're just bouncing around the Mediterranean with Julius Caesar on board. And Julius Caesar would just like became friends with them and was like testing out like, dictator material on them, like speeches and stuff. And then the pirates were like, okay, we got, and they said, we want to ask 20,000 whatevers for you. And Caesar's like, ask for 50. Are you kidding me? Like 20 is way too cheap for me. Anyway, when they paid the ransom and Caesar got to go back to Rome, Caesar went and hunted down the pirates he was like boys with and killed all of them.
That's pretty cool.
Pretty badass.
Yeah. I did read that piracy's been around since about 2,000 years ago. In ancient Greece, there were pirates too.
ever since we started sailing.
Yeah, since you got the ability to go out on the high seas,
Yeah.
there are some bad apples out there. Imagine being the first pirate, the one that's out at sea, and you're like, wait a sec, we could just take this.
There's no rules.
No one's watching.
There's no rules.
Yeah, no rules. Like everyone was like, he's right. Yeah.
That's basically what the Vikings were. The
Yeah.
Vikings are technically considered pirates.
Yeah, Vikings were definitely pirates. They would probably go onto land more frequently than other pirates did, but then they just
Well, that's because
hit
no
and
one
run.
else had boats.
Yeah.
So they were the first ones to like figure out boats.
I also feel like we've hit a real stalling point in terms of like where piracy can go from here. We're still doing piracy on the high seas. There aren't any space pirates yet,
No.
to my knowledge. That would be a pretty cool thing to do.
But once the Space
There
Force.
won't be, thanks to the Space Force.
Yeah.
The Space Force got
I
that.
gotta keep this Earth shit on Earth, man.
Well, what's to stop somebody? Maybe that's what Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos are doing. They're sending rockets into outer space, and they're just going to like hijack all the satellites, strip them for all the gold that's on them.
The billionaires, there's a high barrier to entry for space piracy. It's all just asshole billionaires just rolling around being pirates in space.
There really is. I mean, if you were the first space pirate, and your mission was to just hijack Jeff Bezos's rockets, I think most people on Earth would be cool. They'd be like, "Yeah, good for you. If it's in outer space and you can take it, you can have it."
I have a serious question, and we may need to do a space episode to get into this. Are there laws in space?
I think if you're on a spaceship or an international space station, there are laws that govern what goes on that territory. It might be one of those things where if you go to Canada and you go to the American embassy, American laws apply there. So if you're on an American rocket ship,
Okay.
that's my guess. I'm not sure about that.
Which
Yeah.
is silly as fuck.
You
Yeah.
can't enforce like
It's-
laws on Jupiter from here. That's crazy.
It is crazy.
Silly.
There's not a jury of your peers. Yeah.
Sure.
Mad Dog, what were you gonna say?
So I just looked it up. Are there laws in space? Actually, Big T, that's not a stupid question. It was the most searched thing under are there laws? But
I didn't say it was a stupid question. You attributed that.
I thought you asked.
No,
this might be a dumb
No,
question.
that was
in
just
fact,
you.
In fact, Big T said, "I have a serious question."
Yeah.
Oh,
No, I never said it was a stupid question. That was just you.
Damn.
well, I'm defending you, so I didn't think it was a stupid question either. So
No, you did, because you're the only one that said it.
I misheard. I just misheard you. I'm sorry.
So speaking of that type of stuff, after they passed the Piracy Act of 1698, so they could try pirates in different ports. So like the Jupiter question wouldn't be in order. You could try them in Jupiter.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't have to bring it back to Earth. A bunch of England's less favored colonies, including Bermuda, New York, and Rhode Island, who had been cash starved by the Navigation Acts, which was something England did. So basically you had a bunch of poor colonies that were suffering from English oppression. They loved pirates. They loved all the cash pirates would bring into their ports. And one official defended pirates because he thought it was very harsh to hang people that brings in gold to these provinces. So pirates were kind of, Robin Hood to that effect. Like a lot of the ports that housed them loved pirates.
Mm-hmm.
But why?
If they kept their economies going, probably, right?
Yeah.
Like, so if the pirates come in for a weekend and then they hit your brothels, they go to your bars, they inject money.
Buy
It's
your
like
parrots.
Tourism.
Yeah, it's like,
It's like jewelers being big fans of drug dealers.
yeah.
Why are jewelers big fans of drugs?
Well, because money spends. So
Yeah.
you can look the other way as to what they do on their own time, as long as when they're in your city,
They're spending money on you.
they're spending money on you. That's kind of how the world worked still is kind of how the world works.
Is that like the plot of Uncut Gems, basically?
There's
But more gambling.
There's more basketball in Uncut Gems. Great movies.
Have any of you guys been watching Cocaine Cowboys on
No.
Netflix?
I haven't seen that, no.
Anyway, basically it just proves that the whole reason Miami exists is because of cocaine.
Oh, yeah. I did see that. Great documentary. Billy Corbin
Yeah.
did that. Yeah, that documentary is fucking sweet.
It's like there's no reason Miami should be such a major city besides cocaine.
Mm-hmm.
My one thought on piracy is the best form of piracy ever was LimeWire.
Yeah.
The greatest.
So the music labels, like the major record labels and movie production studios did a great job attaching the word piracy to people just stealing their shit. You talk about something that's as least like actual pirates as possible. It's like, okay, there's somebody that's in their dorm room listening to a song by OAR. It's like, no, that guy's now a pirate. Pirates would be fucking pissed off if they knew what we were using their name for, selling their good name.
Remember the commercial that used to come on every DVD where it was some guy breaking into an apartment and taking a TV, and it's like, you wouldn't steal a TV. And then it's like, so don't download movies.
Yeah.
Mediafire.com. That was one I used. No?
Or at the no, I've never illegally downloaded
YouTube to MP3.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or at the beginning of every movie where the FBI gets a free 15-second commercial. They're like, hey, you can't do this or the feds are going to come after you.
Yeah,
I mean, I feel like-
$250,000 fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we don't hear it as much. They throw it in at the end now, but like, you better not repurpose this broadcast of Orioles Twins without the express written consent of Major League Baseball. Don't even fucking try it.
Or this podcast.
No,
That's right.
I think we should give people permission to pirate this podcast.
I will hunt you down. Actually, more distribution's better for the podcast.
Yeah.
Okay. never
Well,
mind.
no, because then they can't count those downloads towards
Right.
our numbers, and then we end up suffering. I'm of the mindset that fuck it, I'm going to give permission to pirate this podcast.
Okay. Just record when you pirate it so we can add it.
Yeah,
On
just
later.
Yeah, send. You're allowed to pirate this podcast as long as you sign up for BetterHelp. BetterHelp.com/dose.
It would be
And confess it.
so much harder to pirate a podcast than just listen to it directly.
I know you'd have to jump through all the hoops. What about this, guys? The Titanic. What if the Titanic got fucked up by pirates? What if the Carpathia, the ship that discovered the Titanic and, saved 1,000 people from it, maybe those were the ones that said, hey, listen, we won't turn you in. Just please take us back. And they boarded the Titanic. They sunk it. There was no iceberg.
You know who actually loves using the Jolly Roger? Submarines.
It's true.
They love hoisting the Jolly Roger when they come into shore.
I would do that.
That actually comes so like when submarines were originally invented. I just read this when researching the Jolly Roger. One of the English naval admirals was like, submarines are like basically so un-English because like it's hidden and it's like tricky and sort of not like the English way to just confront them head on.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like sneaky. So they're like, we're pirates.
All warfare is based off deception.
Yeah.
Sun Tzu. That's a sneaky little plug right there. Download Thursday's nanodosing.
Yeah.
Thursday's nanodosing. We're getting started with our Art of War discussion. The first chapter. It's only 3 pages. So I think everybody out there, I'm giving you 2 days to get ready for it. 3 pages. Read the first chapter of Art of War. We're going to have a long discussion about that. You're not going to want to miss it. But yeah, the British, they don't like any sort of, they're just like, we're going to meet you in a field. And then we're going to flip a coin. And then depending on who wins the coin toss, you might have to get stabbed first, but then you can stab us back.
Yeah.
That's kind of how the British have always done war. I remember watching Braveheart where they're like, oh shit, they're stabbing our horses that we're trying to use to kill them with.
The horses were off limits.
That's dishonorable. It's like, no, trying to win this war.
Time out. What are you guys doing?
Yeah.
Oi.
So modern day piracy has basically been broken down into, if we're not talking about, Somali pirates or pirates that are taking advantage of different cargo ships, it's if you're downloading something that you shouldn't be downloading. I think we need to come up with a different word for that because that's not piracy.
I want to talk a little more about some of these fucked up punishments these pirates used to do. Have you guys ever heard of keel hauling?
No.
So basically what they used to do to whatever these guys did, like punishing sailors, they would used to tie the victims, often with lead weights secured to their legs, were tied to a rope hanging from the ship's mast's yard arm. The rope and the unfortunate subject were then subsequently tossed into the sea and dragged under the ship's keel on one side and then brought up on the other side to the corresponding yard arm. Aside from drowning tortuously slowly, the victim was sure to be cut to bits by the inevitable scores of painfully sharp barnacles glued to the keel and hull of the ship. So they used to casually do this.
Just like grate somebody.
Yeah.
Oh,
Just
God.
like literally cheese grate him on the bottom of the ship with a bunch of barnacles.
I think Billy's right that a lot of this shit was just people being out at sea for a while, going insane, and just trying to keep themselves occupied by thinking of the grossest shit they can do to punish somebody.
Like, you guys heard of the cat of nine tails, right?
No. I think I've heard of it.
Yeah,
but
the whip. So, the thing is, some of this was very common in like the English naval system at the time. They're just like whipping sailors with like these a form of flogging that was ironically a punishment that rarely led to death despite its extreme barbarity. The cat o' nine tails was usually an unwound rope whip of 9 strands, the ends of which varied. Sometimes the ends were tarred knots and sometimes the fish hooks or musket balls. After the beating, the raw skin was sometimes covered with salt and vinegar to inflict additional pain and suffering. They used to do super fucked up shit to the sailors.
I also think that if you're the captain of a pirate ship, you probably can't be that stupid. You have to be smart in order to navigate a ship around the world, right?
Yeah.
In order to like look at the stars and the sun and the moon and figure out what direction you're going in, how to put the sails up correctly, how to steer the ship. You probably have to be really, really fucking smart to do that.
Yeah. Well, how does that apply?
No, I'm just saying, like it's we think sometimes.
Are you saying that the torturing of these people were very intelligent?
No, I'm saying that the people that came up with this crazy shit that were inventing different ways to torture and kill somebody were also really, really smart people. It's weird that someone who would have to be really, really intelligent would also have that side to them where they're just, sadistic.
Well, I think the fear of mutiny was always such a, if you didn't rule with an iron fist, they could easily, commit mutiny.
Get taken advantage of.
Because when you're the captain, you're so outnumbered by the rest of the ship that you're probably a little paranoid.
Yeah. Who do you think the goat pirate is?
Blackbeard was pretty dope.
He was dope?
Yeah. He only had a 2-year career, though.
Oh, so like flash in the pan.
Honestly, serious flash in the pan. He wasn't that violent. He would use intimidation tactics to make people surrender quickly. So like he used to keep basically like sparklers or like slow burning things under his hat so that he looked like the devil and steam would be coming from his ears kind of. And then, yeah.
See, this guy's
thing.
also insane.
Yeah. It was sort of a lot of intimidation tactics. And, his name was Edward Teach. And he was a shrewd and calculating leader who spurned the use of violence, relying instead on his fearsome image to elicit the response that he desired from those whom he robbed. He was romanticized after his death and became the inspiration for an archetypical pirate in the works of fictions across many genres. Archetypical.
It sounds like Omar from The Wire.
Yeah.
Everyone's afraid of him. He's got a code.
Yeah.
R.I.P., by the way.
R.I.P.
Yeah, he held a whole town hostage for some medicine because they thought I think it was for his like chlamydia or something.
John Q. He John Q.
Yeah. That's exactly what it is. He had, except his son wasn't sick. He just like banged a hooker.
Dude, those guys probably
nasty drip.
Scurvy.
Yeah, so it's scurvy. Scurvy is a lack of vitamin C.
Mm-hmm.
And so they used to like suck on limes and stuff, right?
That's why Coronas have their lime.
Is that true?
Yeah.
I'm calling cap on that. Yep.
I think the tradition of putting limes with drinks stems from because think of a Dark and Stormy.
Yep. Ginger beer, Goslings.
And then they put like a lime on it.
Yeah, because it's delicious and refreshing.
Okay, let me look into this. I'm pretty sure that's why they put limes in alcoholic drinks, because they knew they could convince the sailors to get their vitamin C if it was mixed with alcohol.
I hope Billy's right about this. I really do. I had a friend.
It just sounds amazing.
I had a friend in college that on a dare, he was like, I really love pickles. I could eat pickles for every single meal. And so my friends dared him, said, okay, just eat only pickles then. Let's see how long you can go. And he got scurvy in college.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, from just eating pickles. Not a great idea. but it's easily cured.
How can only pickles give you scurvy? Just a lack of vitamin C?
Yeah, lack of vitamin C. I think if you just deprive yourself of vitamins for long enough, it naturally sets in. So,
Nice.
I mean, Blackbeard sounds like an interesting pirate, but I don't know if you can make the claim that he's the GOAT pirate if his career lasted 2 years, because that's basically one trip. It can't be more than 1 or 2 trips. You know how long it took to get places?
So you know what they did? How he got beat? So this guy was called Maynard, was sent to kill him. He like got a contract to take him out. So Maynard rolled up to his ship and had his whole crew hiding under the like in the cabin. So like the ship looked very outnumbered. So he like baited Blackbeard to like jump his ship. So then he jumped his ship, and because he thought like it wasn't, it was like a merchant ship and there weren't too many people on it. And then all of Maynard's dudes jumped out the cabin and like totally caught all of Blackbeard's guys off guard because he thought the ship was empty.
Got his hand in the cookie jar. Who else would you say is one of the best pirates of all time? Most successful pirates?
So here I don't know about good pirates, but I think the Somali pirates that you mentioned, I think they get a bad rap, right? And here's why. Granted, yeah, they jacking people's vessels, but the reasons as to why is actually kind of fucked up, right? So the Somali government, I mean, there was a civil war, right? And the Somali government kind of disbanded the regulations of the sea, right? And so other fishing vessels from other countries started fishing there and depleting all the resources from that where the Somali fishermen fished. And because of that, there was just scarce resources. And so they started to try to band together to protect their resources. They started trying to hijack people's vessels and shit like that. So it's like they were kind of forced into this because that was one of the main resources of the places that they lived. And so now it's kind of who touched on this? I think it was a conspiracy, wasn't it? Who actually touched on this as well, where the fishing industry in general, like mass fishing, actually causes a lot of poverty and actually causes a lot of economic issues for poor countries, because that's some of their main sources of income was gathering fishing and selling it. Mm-hmm. But because major fishing companies come in and swoop, then they don't have anything else to, like, what are they supposed to do? This is their natural resources. This is how they sustained their economy for a long time. And so just like much crime in general, it follows poverty. Poverty and crime are very correlated. So they're doing it, and I mean, and granted, there's probably industries built because of it, right? And it goes on, kind of much like gangs in America, where it was originally formed to ban against police and police brutality. Cultures develop from that, but its origins come from people just trying to stop people from stealing their natural resources.
So I don't know that much about modern piracy in terms of how violent they are. I saw Captain Phillips. I watched that movie. But are Somali pirates and specifically like East African pirates, are they violent? Do they kill a lot, or do they just take over ships and get paid?
It's not as much as advertised, right? So like I think the movie kind of shine a spotlight on it, and so it's more. I read a stat somewhere. It's like they don't. I don't think killing is that big. There's more. They try to hijack ships, and they're really not that successful. I think for like there's like 100 attempts or something like that, and they've only it was like a 30 or something like that where they actually hijack ships. So they're not that successful. They're bad if you're going by baseball standards. They're Hall of Fame numbers right now. But but as far as successful hijack, it's not as prevalent as it's kind of advertised.
I hate to say it, but I heard Captain Phillips was an absolute fraud.
Really?
Yeah.
Like the man, or
yeah. So as Arian was saying, a lot of these Somali pirates, really, it all started. They were trying to ward off mass fishing vessels, and they realized they could hijack them and take them for ransom. So getting onto these big tankers usually isn't that easy for them, but I heard that Captain Phillips didn't he ignored a lot of very obvious signs, and I think there was an option where you could have just paid them off to not attack the ship, like a very little amount, like the equivalent to like $2,000, which is minuscule related to their how much they get paid. That it could have been easily avoided, but there was vast. I have to look into it, but
So I know what happens a lot is the ships will get boarded, and then the ships will get held for ransom, and then they'll try to get the companies that own the oil on board the ship or own whatever it is to just pay for the release of the ship. And then that's the big payday. Then they get off, they go back. But I know there have been some violent incidents. I'm wondering if in the Suez Canal, you know how there have been a couple of ships that just get parked in there that can't move for a while. If you're a pirate, isn't that just open season? You've got, like a traffic jam of people that are just laid up. Can't you just roll up on them, take their shit?
So those waters are heavily patrolled, but so back to Captain Phillips, because I just found out what it said. So it turns out he sailed way too close to the Somali coast that none of those tankers are usually go, because the pirates don't go that far off the coast. Mm-hmm. So he sailed way too close, and then he didn't follow protocol that is typical of piracy, where there's like a lock box where they have a bunch of provisions and the pirates can't get in. And then they just sent out an SOS, and then they would never be held hostage. And the pirates usually leave once they find out that they can't get to the people.
Yeah.
So you didn't follow any of those.
It's such a life hack to really fuck up at your job, as long as you can get Tom Hanks to play you in the movie that comes out eventually, because then no one will possibly hate you.
But speaking of private contractors, there's tons of private contractors that patrol that area of the world because they get paid by shipping companies to like fight off pirates.
Okay. I've also read that West Africa, so off the coast of the Atlantic Ocean, as opposed to the Indian Ocean, East African piracy is starting to pick up recently, because a lot of the countries in like the Ivory Coast region, Nigeria region, there are a ton of disputes in terms of which water, where the boundaries are. So there are a lot of unprotected shipping vessels or shipping lines that go through there. And so you're starting to see an uptick in that recently. But yeah, modern pirates, they don't have, for whatever reason, we haven't done it's not as romantic when it's happening right now as when it happens.
Because they're not walking planks and that. They got guns and shit now. So it's like it's not as romantic. Yeah, it's not as romanticized. Or it's like, and it's always like it's the caricature of pirates, right? Is the whole garb and the hats and the patches, and now it's like they got guns and they gangbangers.
I'm the captain now. Yeah.
And in the new pirates, they use little ships, and they go like, because they hit and run, so they're not using these huge ships. They're using like little dinghies, and they roll up to the side of the boat. And a lot of these big tankers usually just take hoses and just hose them off the side.
That's got to be emasculating.
Yeah.
You're trying to roll up and just like steal an entire ship, and you've got AK-47s, and they just spray you down with water like a cat that shouldn't be getting onto a dining room table.
Because it's pretty hard to get onto one of those boats from a dinghy.
Yeah.
From that standpoint.
I want to jump back real quick, because I've got a question about pirates that I didn't ask earlier, and I should have. When you brought up the hooks that we think about, they've got the hook for hands. Why would you ever get a hook for one of your hands? Why not just get a prosthetic hand or a peg arm? I don't understand what the benefit of the hook is. Seems like it's just an accident waiting to happen.
For the ropes.
Okay.
Because it's easier to hang on. Because think about when you're on a ship, it's like rocking. You got to grab onto things. Okay. So it's easy to grab on with the hook.
It's a good answer. Good answer. There's also there are modern day fish heists that are going on the high seas. There was one ship that jacked, I think, like $3.5 million worth of Antarctic toothfish. And then they tried to take it to 5 different ports, and nobody would take this fish because the fish was like the fish should not have even been harvested from the sea by the original ship that got it. And I think they were giving like fake names of where they acquired the fish from. It was I think a crew of Cambodian pirates, and they were like, yeah, we got it from the South Korean vessel that we bartered with or traded with. And every port that they went into was like, no, we can't buy this. This is weird. But I like the idea of going up. I think if you take fish out of the ocean until you get it back to port, that's no one's fish yet until you sell it. I don't think you can claim that fish. If you just increase the altitude of the fish by 50 feet and then started sailing away with it. I think that should be maybe fair game at that point.
It's tough. I mean, where do you draw that line?
Yeah, I don't know. So international waters, is that an actual thing where you can do whatever you want when you reach a certain point, or is that just
I think there's regulation. There's regulation on the water, isn't there? As far as fishing is concerned, there has to be.
I mean, maritime law. All I know is what I've learned from The Simpsons, which is you can have knife fights, right?
Monkey knife fights, yes.
Monkey knife fights once you get 10 miles off the coast. I don't know. If anybody out there is an expert in maritime law, please let us know if international waters is a real thing. If you can do whatever you want while you get out there. So, Billy, you have any more pirate facts for us, or anyone have anything else they'd like to contribute to the pirate discussion?
Pirates actually did a lot for discovering the world. There's this guy called William Dampier who put together, he discovered Australia basically, and he wrote all these novels about maritime navigation and basically mapping the world. And they
we learned nothing about white people in Discovery yet.
Right. Sorry.
Niggas was already there, bro.
He was the first European to step foot on Australia.
This nigga really just Christopher Columbus Australia. Yeah. That's crazy.
I'm sorry. Well, he sailed. A lot of the places he found in Australia were uninhabited. So
allegedly, who are the people that were there? And they still deal with racism there today.
Aboriginals.
Yeah. They get ostracized there all the time.
Sorry about
Aboriginal Maoris in New Zealand.
I'm just
Australians are low key really racist.
Oh, that's high key.
High key.
Yeah, it's super high key. Yeah.
Very racist. Billy just did a real life version of that drill tweet where he's like, yeah, pirates, they were really bad. They'd kill people, but also they help chart the world on maps. It's drunk driving kills a lot of people, but it also helps a lot of people get to work on time. So who's to say if it's bad or not?
No, one pirate escaped.
You do not, under any circumstance, need to give it up for the pirates.
Yeah, that's good. No, one pirate got out of execution by giving the Queen of England a map of the world he made.
That's all it took?
Yeah.
That's
maps are pretty valuable.
She's a horrible barter. There's no telling how accurate that shit was. Dog. What? Ma'am, I found some whole new shit. Just trust me. She ain't gonna go check and see if it's real. That's fucked up. That's smart though.
Yeah, just a circle, a green circle that said the New World. Oh wow. Yeah. Okay.
Then she sends like
you really know
50 men on a dummy mission and they all die.
So they all get hijacked by pirates.
Yeah, by him.
It works every time.
That's actually a brilliant move by Buddy too. Actually.
Yeah, I mean, your back's against the wall. You got to throw something out there. It's not his fault it works.
100%.
Oh,
go ahead.
Another little fun fact. The earrings that they all used to wear were said to have warded off seasickness.
Okay.
Like rubbing your ears is supposed to help with seasickness for some reason. And they put in an earring when they felt seasick. Weird.
Huh.
It was something about like pressure in your earlobe was supposed, but it was proven it's fake news.
Well, I don't know if it is or not.
No, it was fake.
Because that's a big thing in Eastern medicine, Chinese especially.
So,
you're saying that all Chinese medicine is...
Did you just call Chinese medicine fake news?
Yeah.
All of it?
Unless...
What do we mean by Chinese medicine?
So Eastern medicine, Chinese especially, when it comes to the ear, they believe that the ear has... I think each ear has something like 40 or 50 specific pressure points on it that can be used. I mean, people still do acupuncture. That's Chinese medicine. Some people believe that truly works. I mean, Aaron, you've seen the pictures of James Harrison where he's got like 600 needles in his back at once.
Yeah. I take it back. Acupuncture works to a certain degree, but I don't think it works to the effect that people pretend it does. So dry needling does, right? So like when they get in there and actually stimulate those muscles and it like makes them jump, like that shit actually does work. But all acupuncture does, in my opinion, is increase blood flow. And if that's the goal, then that's the goal. But I don't think there's like some magical pressure points that can.
I believe it.
Like,
I believe it on the ear because your inner ear controls your balance and your equilibrium. So if you apply certain pressure to different parts of the ear, I actually think that
But the ear lobe.
it can. Hey, Aaron, you ever been with a woman that likes to have her ear nibbled?
I like having my
Yeah.
ear
So that does something to you, right?
Boom.
It doesn't knock off my balance.
It makes you go horizontal.
Touche, my friend. Touche.
I mean, let's be real here. And ladies, if you're out there, if there's a Republican woman out there that wants to fuck Arian Foster, we know that we're trying to get him set up with something.
I want to make love. It's not just.
Sorry.
Don't disrespect the process. I want to make love.
Mm-hmm. So if you're a Republican woman within the sound of my voice, you can turn back and face the radio after Big T told you to face away during the Tennessee Minute now. Arian Foster would like to have you nibble on his earlobe. Let it be known.
I wouldn't mind that.
Anything else about piracy? Billy's got so many facts. Smart Billy came back today. I love this Billy. I love when Billy's on something that he cares about.
I don't have anything about pirates, but have y'all seen what's going on with Facebook since we've been recording?
Yeah, I just saw that.
Yeah,
Facebook.
I just watched it.
It like might not exist anymore.
All right.
I'm out of the loop, but like, please.
So there's one tweet. So it's been down. Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp have been down for several hours. And this, what's the name of this publication? Hang on, I'm waiting on it to load. So the Academy tweeted out. It's a screenshot of a bunch of code, so it makes it look like they know what they're talking about. I have no idea if this is real or not, but it says someone deleted large sections of Facebook's routing. That doesn't mean Facebook is just down from the looks of it. That means Facebook is gone.
No.
So, yeah, I can't imagine that's true. But it has been down like all day. Mark Zuckerberg.
Let's go.
Somebody is trying to save the world.
And I was just gonna say that like the employees' key cards won't even work to like get in the building. Like their entire infrastructure is down.
So are they hacked? Hold on, is it?
I think so.
This sounds like we jumping the gun. Like,
Isn't
come
it?
on.
No, it looks pretty bad.
And it's
Really?
the night after the Facebook 60 Minutes.
Yeah.
Coincidence?
What?
Let me get on Twitter to see if Facebook is down.
So someone deleted.
A lot of people on Twitter, if it had any goddamn self-respect, would lock the doors right now, not let any of these people come back. They've chose Facebook. They can stick with Facebook.
Mhm.
I don't need Facebook people on Twitter. That sounds like a terrible time. But it also said Zuckerberg has lost $7 billion today.
Yeah.
Yes.
Facebook has lost 50.
Eat the rich.
Billion?
Yeah, which
How
is
do
the
you-
entire worth of Twitter.
How do you lose that much money in a couple hours over being down?
Well, first you
Well,
have to have
deleted.
that much money.
From what I understand about coding, it's not like you can just copy paste it. It takes like years of layering, and it's not easy to build a whole system.
Probably should have backed it up.
So Facebook's down bad.
They didn't have iCloud.
Yeah, they should put it on the iCloud. Oh man, Facebook. That's tough.
Would you, if you guys could, would you delete all social media, like wipe it from existence?
Right?
yeah.
We've had that discussion,
Oh, yeah.
I think.
Even though that's how we kind of make a living.
Well, none of us would have jobs.
The blog would still be out there.
Yeah, but none of us, like,
The podcast would still be out there.
Social
yeah.
media.
I
wouldn't tweet.
wouldn't tweet.
Yeah,
I feel like WhatsApp being down is almost
Yeah.
Facebook.
Signal. I stopped using WhatsApp because one of my homegirls, she lives in Argentina, and she's like, "Fuck Mark Zuckerberg," and she's like, and she was the only person I talked to on WhatsApp. She was overseas,
Right.
She's never be overseas. She's in another country, and so she was like, "Download Signal. It's encrypted and yada yada yada." And I don't know shit about that shit, so I was like, "Whatever, my nigga. However we communicate." And so I've been off WhatsApp forever. So like Signal is supposed to be better. I don't know.
Oh, you
don't
guys see the communist capybaras in Argentina?
no.
So basically, they did a.
This sounds legitimate.
PFT do the subtlest, funny shit in the world, bro. Go ahead, bro.
I missed that one.
No, but so there's a huge, like, they basically built a huge super rich suburb in Argentina on top of swamplands and like on indigenous people's property and whatnot. So you have all these people moving into the suburb with super big McMansions in Argentina, and all of a sudden,
you say McMansions?
Yeah,
Okay.
real mansions.
No, I just didn't get the McDonald's reference. But.
McMansion, is that like a term?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's like a cookie cutter large house for the like lower upper class.
Well, it's just not like a real mansion. It's not like a European mansion. It's just like
a real mansion, like a European one, huh, Billy?
yeah, like like a chateau of sorts.
That should be subtly seeping out of Billy, man. But
What?
I had never heard that term, McMansion.
No, I'm talking about like
just a big house.
a big house.
Gotcha.
American ingenuity.
Yeah, I'm just fucking with you, man. Go ahead.
Home Depot.
Houston's got a ton of McMansions that are like, if you're in the oil industry, you know, in the suburbs around Houston, and you want to spend, you know, $3-4 million on new construction.
Did you actually think me saying European mansion is like subtle racism?
I'm fucking with you, Billy. It's just jokes.
I know, but it's just like
just like
I'm not
remember you said like real dragons, like European dragons. Like gentrified dragons.
It's the only way to describe it. But
so get back to this Facebook. Oh no, you just
they built this huge community on swamplands that where native Argentinians used to live, and now all these capybaras are just swarming the neighborhood. And capybaras are just giant guinea pigs.
I love capybaras. Capybaras, the best thing about them is that they're the friendliest animals in the world. They love having pals. And I'm not talking about just like other capybara pals. They love all animals. They just like nestle up next to whatever's around them. They're chill as hell.
They really don't.
They sound so happy.
Yeah.
No, but they've been tearing up all this super nice landscaping that people put in, like destroying property values, like running into people's houses.
Oh no! Wait. Where did the people that bought the houses get that land from? From the capybaras.
So the capybaras are like the symbol of a socialist revolution in Argentina, and like there's these huge, paintings and stuff that they put up of like the capybaras and like communist like Che Guevara capybaras and all.
That's hilarious.
It's some of the funniest things. Just Google it, and they're saying stuff in Spanish that I don't even know the translation to. That basically is like the capybaras are for the people.
Listen, I just love capybaras.
Comrade capybaras.
They look like little hippos, like small little furry hippos.
Yeah, they're cool as shit.
Yeah.
All right. Well, respect to the capybaras. They're taking their land back. They were there first. So yeah,
I'm his pets.
Thoughts and prayers to Facebook. Tough day for people's aunts out there. Not sure. Sure how they're going to get those memes off.
We were just going to announce the.
Yeah, if Facebook isn't dead forever, we have a Facebook page and a discussion group you can join.
Oh yeah, that's the only good part of Facebook.
That's the only good part of Facebook. It's actually awesome.
We break it? We broke Facebook.
Look, we low key we kind of blew up on Facebook. No big deal. Whatever. Our discussion group is awesome. So if you guys want to join the discussion group, if Facebook ever comes back to life, it's on our Twitter, and then also just search Macrodosing on Facebook and it should come up. And I talk in there. Billy's gonna get in there and talk. We're all in there just hanging out. It's a good time. It's good vibe. It's good vibes only in the Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's pro everyone in there. So
pro everyone.
Yeah, get in there. Besides
like a capybara.
We're all capybaras in there. It's a collection. But whenever Facebook comes back up, join it. There's like 500 people in there.
Can we get some memes going that are capybaras wearing baseball hats, and so we can use those for cat memes?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be fire. All right. Well, that does it almost for this week's episode of Macrodosing. I almost ended it prematurely, but then I realized we're doing the voicemails. Voicemails are back in Tuesday episodes because Thursdays, again, that is Art of War by Sun Tzu, which we will be discussing in a nanodose, 20-30 minute long episode. So let's get to voicemails.
Okay, give me 1 second. My Gmail uninstalled real quick.
This is wild. On the plane ride here. How are we still recording?
Yeah, we're waiting for a second.
We'll cut it. You can say something.
Yeah.
You don't know. You gotta cut it. On the plane ride here, I was watching the movie with Melissa McCarthy, Super Intelligence, and it literally yesterday I was having these thoughts, and so the whole premise of the movie is like there was some toy, AI toy that gained awareness and consciousness, and it found her and let her know that he or it captured all of the internet, and it could just do whatever it wants. It could do whatever it wants. And so and one of the things that they were it was just fascinating. So one of the things that they wanted to do to centralize it was cut off all internet and just go dark for a dark world for like to try to centralize it so that they can encapsulate it, but ended up being that's what it wanted it to do. It's really dope premise to a movie. Actually, it's low key like what's that one with Johnny Depp? Where he like becomes the computer. Fuck, what is that movie?
Her
with what
No, that's Joaquin Phoenix and he falls in love with his phone. I was talking about Johnny Depp is like he becomes artificial intelligence. He becomes like it was almost evil at first, but towards the end of the movie, he was like brilliant. Like fuck, what's that movie called?
Artificial intelligence movie. Transcendence.
Fucking brilliant movie. PFT, you like that shit though. Billy, you like that shit too, man.
It has a 19% on Rotten Tomatoes. So
fuck that goddamn thing. What is it? The one time it was 100% Rotten Tomatoes. It was with Keegan Peele or whatever.
Key and Peele.
Yeah. Nah, it was not Keegan
Michael Key.
It was him. And it was like there was like a improv group. It was 100% of Rotten Tomatoes. Like, oh, this gotta be fired. That shit was horrible.
Oh, yeah.
That shit was horrible. I'll never trust Rotten Tomatoes again, ever.
Arian, I know exactly what movie we were talking about.
That shit is so bad, dog.
I'm reading up right now on the Facebook thing, and by reading up I mean just looking at the replies to that tweet that Billy mentioned earlier. But there are a lot of people that are saying that it's not gone. It's just it's cut off from external read write to the databases. So one user, May Brooks, just said, if a bridge collapsed, it doesn't mean the other side of the river disappeared too. So
the bridge is...
So apparently the bridge is missing.
Because I can't, like... You know how when Facebook and Instagram are usually down and you can, like, open it, but you can't, like, refresh it?
Yeah.
There's nothing there. Like, that's not happening right now. Right. If I go on my, like, Safari, I can't even open the websites.
My saying... If I go on my Instagram app,
it doesn't refresh.
Yeah, it's not refreshing. It's
nothing.
Some white dude jamming to the music is my last post I get to see on Instagram.
See, for me, the Instagram feed isn't even showing up. It's just a blank screen.
Mine's could not refresh feed.
Damn.
That's actually. Can you imagine how stressful of a day that is?
I typed in Facebook.com. It says Safari can't open the page because it can't find the server.
And it's the same thing for Facebook too. I just
know what's fucked up and why like we joke about this shit, but it's like I know a lot of people who actually have their main source of income is Instagram, like and Facebook and social media, and like that's how they get their business like out there. That's
right.
It's actually fucked. I hate it.
Also, you're on a show with a lot of those people right now.
Yeah. Also, they have.
Yeah, I should probably go check what percentage of my blog views come from Facebook before we wish for its downfall so quickly.
Most of them.
I'm buying Facebook stock.
Buy the dip, Billy?
Buying the dip.
Also, people have a lot of pictures of the relatives that they've put up on Facebook and a lot of memories and shit.
Right.
What, Billy?
Oh, the stock market's disgusting.
It is. So let's jump to voicemails real quick. We're going to get to voicemails, but before we do, I want to let you guys know that our voicemails are sponsored by Sport Clips. Sport Clips haircuts. Billy just got his haircut. You dyed the tips invisible at Sport Clips. At Sport Clips. Yeah, Sport Clips is the best place to go for a haircut. You can go to Grandma's for the holidays, but don't go to where Grandma cuts her hair. You should go to Sport Clips. They're pros. And if you're a guy, they specialize in men's haircuts. If you got a cowlick, if you have a patchy beard, that's me. You're finally wanting to grow out that mullet, or maybe you just need a style that works every day. Whatever you need, go to Sport Clips Haircuts. It's not your grandma's hair place. Sport Clip stylists are experts in men's hair. Cutting men's hair can be harder than cutting women's hair, and Sport Clip stylists are specifically trained to cut men's hair. I heard a rumor that is where Steve Belichick goes to get his hair cut.
Yeah, I can see that.
That's a rumor that I heard, and it looks great. It looks awesome. Steve Belichick, he will co-sign Sport Clips. They are pros when it comes to men's hair. So at Sport Clips, you can sign up ahead of time, and then they will send you a text to let you know when your seat's about to be ready. Plus, they have the hot steam towel. Sport Clips. Go to Sport Clips. Check them out today. Tell them Macrodosing sent you. Sport Clips is the best place to cut men's hair.
What up, Macrodosing? It's Max from Indiana. And my question that I have for you guys is, if you could be the first person to do anything ever, what would it be? So, for example, like, you could be the first person.
Okay, then it cuts out for a while. But if you could be the first person to do anything ever, what would you do?
Shit.
And we can include, I think, things that have already happened. So if you wanted to be the first person, like, to find out gravity exists.
That is a very, very good question. I think it'd be pretty cool to be the first person to time travel into the future, though. I think I would be more interested to see the future than I would be to see the past.
I like that.
Now, based on what we know about time travel, which is really nothing but the laws science fiction writers have come up with, they always say you can't alter things in the past. But if you're traveling to the future, couldn't you technically do whatever since it hasn't happened yet?
Well, interesting thing about time, my brother, is that it already has happened.
Fair.
We're just living in this fucking ever-present moment.
Hang on, run that by me one more time.
It's hard to explain, but the basic laws of physics go as such. Time is malleable. It's not a inanimate object. It's an actual thing. Time is an actual thing, right? Time warps and bends, and that's the effect of gravity. It's why things fall, because things fall to the center of the mass. Mass moves because time warps. Space-time is what they call it, right? So the effects of this actually have interesting consequences, and this is one of them. Depending on how you move through space is how you move through time. For example, if I move toward something, right, billions and billions of light years away, if me and another alien are sharing the same now, okay, we agree on what now is. We're living in the exact same moment. Depending on how I move through space, time can either slow or speed up for me, depending on how I move. Then our nows no longer align. And across vast amounts of distances like that, that could mean the difference between where we once were aligned. Now his now was 250 years in the past or 250 years in the future, right? Just because of our nows were aligned and how we move changes that throughout the vast distance of space. Now, it's a hard concept to grasp. Like, it's a very hard concept to grasp, but the implications are true, right? And so what that means is if our nows can misalign over that much amount of time, but we're still experiencing our reality in a very real way, it means the past is actually still happening and the future is also happening too.
And the present is a present, and that's why it's a gift.
Fucking Uruguay.
Big T's mind just got blown.
I'm trying to I want to have a follow-up question, and I'm just trying to figure out how I want to phrase it. So do you think there I don't
Can I read your mind real quick?
Sure.
Are you trying to ask, is there such a thing as self-determination then, if everything has always happened? Do you have free will?
No. I literally just want to know if
is there Jesus?
Oh my God. Will y'all stop? Do you think there is like things I can't.
Where's the nearest Hobby Lobby?
In the future, like, do you think the future is happening right now?
Yes.
Okay.
You asking like, have you already eaten tomorrow's Chick-fil-A for lunch?
No, like in 150 years, the Earth will have nobody that's currently living on it alive, and it will be an entirely new crop of people. So, like, you think that's happening right now?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a real tough concept. I don't understand it either. So, but it's one of the theories about time. Einstein had it.
So where is that happening? Since it's not where we are, right? Like in New York,
Earth is not stagnant. Earth moves at around 1,000 miles 1,000 kilometers per miles per hour or whatever, kilometers per hour. So Earth isn't stagnant, right? So don't think of Earth as this ball that just stays still. So when you talk about space-time, you're talking about actual space. Like think of it like it's cylindrical, right? There's this big cylinder. We're moving Einstein referred to it as noodles, right? So like think of time as moments captured like this, like slots, like you play slots in like a quarter machine or something like that. Time is like snapshots like this, and we just experience it. This is why Einstein said free will was an illusion, because we experience time linearly, and this is how we experience it. But think of it like literally just like snapshots, and like my hand going like, and it's just like it captures it moment after moment after moment after moment. Like that's the reality of time. But we don't experience time like that. We experience time like, oh, we're sharing. You guys are listening to me now. I'm listening to you. But it's not the case. Like we all experience different times. Our nows are different. And over vast amounts of space, like those are very real consequences. And so when you can't think of Earth as a static ball, Earth is not in the same position it was 150 years ago. It's somewhere totally different. The universe is it's always expanding from what we know of it right now. And it's in an entirely different space than it was. It's way somewhere else where it was and where we are now and where it's going to be.
I still don't understand how space expands. Where is it expanding to?
You don't know?
Where is there room?
You don't know.
What about you, Coley?
Dark energy.
Coley, what would you, if you could do something for the first time that nobody's ever done?
I find out where the fuck space ends would be a pretty big one.
That's a good start. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that'd get me on a magazine or two. I don't know. I would love to have been the first person who had dunked just to see what everyone else there we got. Like I feel like they probably burned that guy at the stake like a witch.
Yeah. I would like to be the first person who's ever circled the wagons like the Buffalo Bills.
I want to talk to animals.
Yeah.
Talk to all animals. I feel like they know things that we don't know. It's just like a given. Like, what if they know all the answers? They're just too chill because they know everything.
They just know better than to tell us.
Yeah. It's like they know why space is expanding.
Fungi. That'd probably be the first thing I'd talk to. Fungi, bro.
Yeah, dude, shrooms probably know everything.
Fungi or octopi. Octopus.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Octopuses. Yeah. I would definitely talk to octopuses.
Billy, if you were to pick one animal that you could talk to, what would it be?
Oh, man.
Capybara. He's probably like the chill, cool zen of the animal kingdom.
I want to talk to my frogs to see if they love me back.
I might be getting another frog.
Unsurprising.
Famous last word.
A guy DM'd me and he was like, "Look, man, like I'm moving. I can't."
Don't fucking do it, bro.
Dude, it's a 3-pound frog. It's a well-established African bullfrog. It's a giant. Like you could.
He's an incel and he's implanted it with something.
No, he's not. He's probably a really nice person who raises frogs.
I love it, Billy. Billy, in all honesty, no bullshit. You should do it.
I should get it.
You should get the frog.
Kind of expensive.
I'm not a fan of it.
It's a great way to establish
I'm using
credit.
it for content. Like I have to explain to the finance team upstairs. Like, you bought a frog. It's for content. I expensed Larry the goldfish.
That's true. What about you, Big T? What would you do?
I would go back and cuck Truett Cathy and invent the chicken sandwich because it's something both that I love and that proved very financially beneficial for him. So
I would invent the chicken.
Wow.
I'd invent the egg.
Yeah. No, invent the chicken sandwich. Do you think that Truett Cathy actually invented the chicken sandwich?
Yeah.
No one else had done it.
Where are sandwiches from?
Bobby Valentine.
Yep. Coley's right. Coley's right. What about you, Mad Dog?
I mean, I think if I was the first person to like cure cancer, that would be like Coley, like get me on some magazines. But I also think I would get killed immediately.
Yeah,
I think there are several people who have found the cure for cancer.
Yeah, we found it.
It's just
I'm not in that camp. Here's the question though. If you cured cancer, would you do it for free?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
Yes.
so. I think the benefits that you would get from curing cancer, may it be monetary or not, would.
I agree with that.
Yeah. Like, also you would get the satisfaction of being like, I cured cancer and I'm saving like so many people's lives.
Maybe billions of lives. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It would definitely be like the cure would probably be affordable. At the end, in order for it to be effective, it would have to be affordable.
Well, my whole thing right now,
You know what I'm saying?
my theory
I don't
right
follow
now,
that line of thought at all.
my theory right now is that there is a cure and it is kept for like the super elite.
I don't know because Steve Jobs didn't.
Steve
Steve Jobs
true.
died.
That's true. But maybe they didn't have the cure at that point. Maybe they cured it, or maybe they found the cure like 3 years ago.
Reach.
My other thing too is why I go back and forth on how I think there are people who've been like killed because they know information about curing cancer, and like the government and the medical industry, big pharma, doesn't want you to know. But then also at the same time, like people like Steve Jobs have died from it, or like people have died from cancer that are very important to society. Also, cancer is such a broad spectrum of disease, like pancreas, like cancer, breast cancer, colon cancer. All of those are so different. Like, can you have one cure for,
That's what. Yeah.
20 different types of cancer? That's the reason they haven't found the cure.
It's very difficult to do. And also, I think that if Pfizer, or a big pharma company, had the cure for cancer, I think they would probably make a shitload of money off of it. I think that
right.
Obviously there's more money to be made in certain aspects of disease when it comes to like treatment as opposed to a cure, because treatment, then it's like recurring revenue.
Right.
But I think if you're a giant pharma company and you have the cure for cancer, or you're close to it, you see that as you still have to think about next quarter's earnings. You have to think about like the short term too. That's such a windfall for them. I don't know if they'd be able to keep all that secret.
But
and you need more people to be alive to have a bigger customer base. Like they were selling Xanax to people who were perfectly fine. Like they can find stuff to sell you. They'd rather have you alive than dead.
Well, and also, I mean, it isn't, if they had like, okay, let's just say it's a pill or whatever, that you take to cure cancer, wouldn't it still be a recurring source of revenue because like more people would just get diagnosed with cancer?
Yeah, that's true too.
But
isn't
also,
cancer just, from my understanding, but cancer is just like rogue cells, right? It's cells that don't die.
It's
like a mutation.
It's like
They
mutated
keep
red blood
replicating.
cells.
Yeah. And so it's not like the different kind of, like, I mean, I don't know shit about cancer, but this is just from what I thought I understood. Is it really different kinds of cancer, or is it just rogue cells in different part of the body?
Well, it's different kind of cells going rogue.
Right.
So like their cancers are not what happens to the cells is similar when they become cancerous, but the cells are all very different.
And then they can like metastasize
Yeah.
and go to different parts of the body.
Got you. Yeah,
And,
I don't know
like,
shit about it. Yeah. Interesting. I was just curious. Yeah.
No, I think that I just don't think anyone who finds a cure for cancer in even the next like 50 years, I don't think anyone is getting a hold of that.
I think it's 100% going to be there. I've seen videos of little microscopic nanobots that are like the size of cells, like whizzing around. Like they're definitely going to get a bunch of those and program them to only attack cancer cells, and then just inject them into everyone's bodies.
But then people are gonna be like, "Oh, there's robots in them." Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
When people are dying of cancer,
They don't care what's in them.
they're not going to be
Right.
anti-science at that point.
What about you, Avery? You got anything?
Oh, well, I was just thinking about changing my answer because we got really serious there. But I want to be I want to be the first person to use a fully operational Iron Man suit.
Oh, fuck yeah.
You'll be remembered forever for that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It would just be fun too.
How badass would that be?
I'll just jump around, just like
Yeah.
All right.
Fly.
little audio for people at home.
Good answers all around, guys. All right. What
I
else?
would do because the only I didn't do it yet. Y'all forgot about my school.
My bad.
I would be it's cool. Sorry. I would be the first one to make contact with the intelligent life form, with another intelligent life form, not from Earth.
What would you tell them?
Get me the fuck out of here, though. Them niggas is wild. I would be like, yo, I don't think this Earth is salvageable. I think there's pockets of people worth saving, but the majority, like, we're just gonna kill each other off. Like, it's the stupidest place ever. Like, dumb
Okay,
place
Bill
to be.
Gates.
He's not wrong. Nigga ain't wrong. And for the record, he wasn't talking about depopulating the earth. I had an argument with my homeboy about this because he believes that I went to college with him too. Apparently he didn't go to any classes, but I went to college with my guy, and he thinks that Bill Gates is trying to depopulate the earth, and the vaccine. He actually said this to me for real. He said the vaccine is it has microchips in it, and it's gonna turn everybody into zombies, and you're gonna do exactly what they say. And I'm like, bro, what the fuck happened to you? I had no idea. Like, he was dead serious too. And so I traced down this stupid conspiracy theory about Bill Gates depopulating the earth. It came from a 2000. Have I said this already on this podcast? Who cares? It came from a 2010 TED Talk where he was talking about getting proper medicine to impoverished communities. And there's studies that show that the reason why there's so much overpopulation in poverty-stricken communities is because they don't have access to healthcare. They show that a lot of families depend on their kids for child labor for work for their family. And so if their kids die or their kids are sick and they're unable to do it, they just keep breeding, and they have more and more mouths to feed and less resources to give to people so that they are nourished, right? And so what he was saying was he was citing those studies that says if you have proper access to medication, to birth control, to all of these things that aid human beings, you're less likely to procreate. And so he was saying we need to shrink the population, but in a way that's for it, so that it's manageable for resources. And so he wasn't saying he wanted to kill people off. He just wants to say he wants to give people medicinal help. Yeah, and that will depopulate the earth.
My understanding was that he was like, the earth has X amount of resources right now and can sustain X amount of people. And right now we have too many people on earth for the resources that are currently available to keep everybody alive. Here's what the population would be if we were matched up evenly with what we have.
Well, that even sounds more sinister than it actually was. He was literally just talking about getting more medical care to impoverished places so that they procreate less.
Because that's what increasing the resources, not decreasing. Got it.
Yes, increasing resources will decrease population because people are less likely to procreate once they have access to real medical help. Like, that's all he was saying, and that turned into he wants to kill people with vaccines. Like, fucking wild.
Got it. Now, counterpoint to that, Billy just sent a video to the chat, which is just Bill Gates getting a pie thrown in his face, and I think that's very funny. So
I'm literally like, that was the moment. That was the moment. He's literally just like walking to give a speech on education, and some random dude just pies him in the face, and that is the moment Bill Gates decided.
That's when he became evil.
Yeah,
that's like, I hate
the
all
super
people.
villain. Like, I made Microsoft, I made Excel for all of you. Like, now you pie me in the face. No, I mean, that's all pretty crazy, but you know.
All right, Mad Dog, what else we got?
Okay, here's the next one.
What's up, you handsome fucks? Big time fan. Listen to every episode at least once. Love you guys. You guys make my workday infinitely better, so I truly appreciate what you do, especially Billy, obviously. Thank you for your service. Just a quick question. If you guys could fight any living person at Rough and Rowdy, who would it be and why? Doesn't have to be a celebrity. Doesn't have to be a sports person. Anyone you want. I especially want to hear Mad Dog's answer. Arian's too. I wanted to hear Big T's, but I'm pretty sure it's just Obama.
This is, you want to talk about, let's go back a second, because last week we had to talk about people who incite things, and I think we really got carried away with a lot of abstract examples. You fucks in this room and in Maine and Houston have incited a relatively large group of people to plenty of things that are just so far off base, it's outrageous, and I find it incorrigible.
Wait, you think that we've incited people to?
Wait, sorry, so you wouldn't fight Obama?
He wouldn't be even in my top 100. He was a
Think about
pawn.
payday though. That'd be a big purse. People
So
are watching that fight.
So he's 101. 101 is his place.
I would actually love to rough and rowdy Obama. That'd be think of the payday. Huge purse.
Yeah, I would. You know who I'd like to fight? I'd like to fight the homeless guy that keeps assaulting Big T. So
That was actually gonna be my answer. Not well.
no,
it's
but I
two
called
separate ones.
I called him first. So
You
that-
gave him cancer last week, Big
yeah.
T.
So if
I'm feeling bad for my guy now.
if I fight that guy, then Big T can never ever say anything to me bad ever again. Just always thank you PFT for everything that you've done for me.
Well, I could take him myself though.
Well, I
He
already
did.
fought him.
That guy probably was just having a terrible day. He didn't get his methadone on time.
I'd fight Pelosi long before Obama.
I'm with you on that. I would fight Pelosi.
No pushback. No pushback here. No
Yeah,
pushback.
Yeah,
we can all come together on that one. I think as a podcast.
Obama.
Yes, it's-
Obama was a pawn.
Nancy Pelosi's pawn.
Nancy
Partly.
Pelosi she's a really, really amazing investor. I'll give her that.
She is
She her returns on some of her investments have been insane recently.
crazy how she times the market.
The timing is impeccable.
I mean,
Genius. Arian, who would you fight?
Who would I fight? I'm not like a fighter like that, though. I talk a lot of shit, but I don't want to have no physical altercation with nobody, man. I guess I don't got no beef with nobody like that, man. I'm sorry to not answer his question. Let me think about it a little bit more. Let me think. Somebody go out.
I would love to ECW Extreme Rules match Osama bin Laden.
Okay.
They said he had to be living.
Oh fuck.
Yeah. Well, no one knows.
Now, let me think.
Mine would be Skip Bayless.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I like how you didn't pick Tom Wilson. You know better. You know better than that, Avery. Mad Dog, you want to hear your answer?
Yeah, I don't know why, but mine's personal. Or it's not a celebrity, it's someone I went to school with who I will not name names. But it's
Spill the tea.
no,
That's big of you.
Thank you. Oh no.
Don't be big.
No.
Don't be big.
Take the high road.
No, I won't say their name, but
Take
there's
the low
there is
road.
one person I went to school with. I won't specify what school, but school with who I would take in a ring literally tomorrow.
What she do, bro?
If you won't say the name, you got to tell us why you hate him so much.
This person and I are we've had a lot of interactions together, and I don't consider myself, I'm getting sweaty thinking about it. I don't think I'm mean to a lot of people in this world. This person I was intentionally mean to a lot just because I didn't like them all the time.
Man.
So I would fight that person. Grade school, middle school, high school, college. We don't know where it was from or what they're doing now. But I would take them tomorrow. And I know I would win is the other thing in a second. So I don't know if that's an entertaining answer because I'm not saying who it is, but it's not a celebrity. It's someone in my personal life.
Okay. They
Yeah.
know who they are. Boy or girl?
If I say what gender, it will give it away to people who know me in real life.
It's a boy. Because you would say if it was a girl.
Yeah.
It's a boy. She'd fight a boy.
Process of elimination.
I would fight Dan Snyder. I think I could beat him.
I'm pretty sure you can get him, dog.
Yeah, he's shorter than I am. I'm in better shape than he is.
How tall or how short are you?
How tall am I? Good question, Aaron. I'm 5'8.5". I say that I'm 5'9", but the dirty secret is I'm 5'8.5". But that's perfectly normal height. If you look at a global scale, I'm actually above average height. Globally.
I'm not sure that's the metric you want to use.
Globally.
Jeff Bezos is looking pretty jacked. I would just want to put him in a ring just to knock him down a couple pegs.
I got it.
Yeah.
I got it. Who's the nigga that boxes? Logan. Is it Logan or Paul?
Oh,
Logan.
Jake Paul.
Jake and
Which
Logan.
one's the one that's boxing?
Jake.
Both.
Jake, or both, but Jake is one more notorious for boxing.
Bang!
That's
I
a
want to do that, but I want to do MMA, not just boxing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I would
I would do
fight.
full out. I'll fuck
You would go jujitsu on him,
100%.
Yeah.
He ain't got no ground game from me. for
tap
sure.
him out. I would.
I mean, I feel like my hand's better than him too, but whatever.
I would fight Miley Cyrus, but I wouldn't actually fight back. I just let Miley just beat the shit out of me.
What's your thing with Miley Cyrus?
Aaron, you know you'd probably be the biggest person either the Paul brothers would have fought. They only fight like people under 5'7".
I mean, of course,
Yeah.
they know what they're doing. Yeah,
Yeah. You'd absolutely clap them.
no question. And especially if we go to the ground.
Yeah.
All right, so Billy, who's yours?
A Paul brother.
You'd fight the other
Yeah.
one?
You just want to, genuinely.
That would be fun. I'd love a tag team. That would be
Yes,
fun.
yes,
Let's do this
yes.
shit. Macrodosing versus the Pauls. Like, fuck them. Let's get this cracking.
Tag team. Let's call Vince.
I think I'm taller than Joe Rogan, aren't I?
Yeah.
Was he like 5'7"?
5'7". Joe Rogan's 5'7". Notoriously 5'7".
No,
We wasn't,
I've heard
we
5'4".
wasn't talking about it
What?
anymore, man.
Yeah, sorry, I was still thinking.
No, Joe Rogan.
would mop you up.
Aaron,
That's a good point, Cooley. Yeah.
How tall is he in person?
Around 5'7".
Yeah, Coley's right though. Joe Rogan would beat the shit out of me.
He would dog walk you, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's bald.
He's a black belt, dog. He's
Yeah.
cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been going through a few, and I boiled it down to people who I believe have a willful intent to destroy America, and that.
Oh, this should be great.
And I think I think this is one that people. I would fight Keith Olbermann. I believe every single thing Keith Olbermann says is with a willful intent to break down the fabric of American life, and I want to hit him.
Okay.
I don't know who that is. I think he's a news guy.
He was much popular.
He was
years
a
ago.
Sports Center host for a long time, and then he went full lib, and now he's just got some of the most outrageous opinions you'll ever hear.
He
I got
does
you.
stink.
I got your fans in my mentions every day calling me woke, Big T. Get them niggas off my bumper, man.
They're not. I don't think I have many fans, so I can assure you I didn't send them.
They show up on my timeline.
Keith Olbermann is one of those guys. I think most reasonable people can get together and agree. Like, this guy just sucks.
Yeah, no, he's the woke.
So he does.
Okay. I know the face. I just don't know.
Do you watch BoJack Horseman, Arian?
Have I watched what?
BoJack Horseman.
Uh-uh.
All right, that didn't help then.
Olbermann is he's become like a caricature of himself.
Yeah.
I think the thing I don't like about Olbermann is he's very much in it for Keith. I don't think he really cares about any of the stuff that he's saying. He likes to feel like he's important, and he loves to feel like he's talking down to other people. And so he just takes whatever route is easiest for him to make himself feel important about things. But I don't think that he is what's the opposite of disingenuous? I don't think he's ingenuous.
Genuine?
I don't think he's genuine. Thank you, Mad Dog.
Right.
Disingenuous is a real word.
I think Keith Olbermann is disingenuous, aka I don't think he's genuine.
He seems like a big performative activist.
Yes.
Like he's doing it for his name, not because he cares about these issues.
Yeah, he thinks that he's in the plot of The Newsroom 24/7. He thinks that Aaron Sorkin writes his everyday life and all of his dialogue for him before he ever says it.
Every time I see one of his little diatribes from the balcony of his apartment on Central Park West, I just want to sock him right in the face.
Yeah. Anybody else? Anyone else? Coley, do you know who you'd fight?
I keep trying to think. Like, I don't have any like good answers. Like someone I would handle. Obviously, like I don't want to lose the fight. So someone very meek on the brink of death. But I can just mop up, take my winnings, and go home.
You're thinking more strategic.
Yeah, I'm not trying to like. Oh man, he's gotten 6 rounds with fucking Reba McEntire. Why doesn't he put this one away? Like,
Oh, what the fuck do you have against Reba?
Nothing. It was just the first like smaller person that came to mind. Everyone loves Reba. No one would be rooting for me in that fight. I can't have that.
No, definitely not. Anyone else?
Have you seen Good Old Country? What's the movie Reba McEntire was in?
I'm not sure. I don't think I
Was it
have
just
seen
Reba?
That was her TV show.
No. She was in a movie with, I think it was.
Yep.
It was George Strait. Was it George Strait?
Pure Country?
The Gambler?
Pure Country.
Pure Country.
Pure Country. BT, you ever seen Pure Country? you ain't really from the country, bro.
You should watch Pure Country. You love
You
it.
out here.
I'll see it before next week's show.
You out here perpetrating.
Appropriating.
Hey, out here appropriating, bro. All you Republicans banging for Big T, he not really with you, dog. He's a plant.
That's fake news.
He's a liberal plant. But no,
Big city T.
so my mother grew up on a country, like in a farm, right? And so like, she used to let me watch all these old ass like country movies, right? Like Dances with Wolves. She used to make me watch that shit. She made me like listen to like, and that's why I love to this day. So I love Patsy Cline. Patsy Cline is fire, bro. Because I grew up and my mom was just like, so I know all her songs. But anyway, Pure Country had one of the greatest quotes of all time on it. It was about chicken shit. Matter of fact, Big T, watch it and bring back the quote next episode.
Is it make chicken soup out of chicken shit?
Nope.
Okay.
When you see it, it's like that's some Master Oogway.
It's got George Strait in it too. Yeah,
that's George Strait.
I'll watch this before next week.
George Strait.
Good movie. It's a good movie.
Fun fact about Pure Country and whatever other movies George Strait has acted in, he refuses to kiss a woman as he's acting because he feels it would be disrespectful to his wife.
Good man.
Even though it's a love story, he wouldn't kiss another woman on screen. It would be. It'd be very
looking
funny.
upon a woman lustful is sinful. So yeah.
It'd be funny though if this was like a ruse and maybe George Strait was attracted to men, and he decided to give himself the stage name George Strait to throw everybody off the trail. It'd just be funny if it happened. You have to admit it would be quite a plot twist, and retroactively people would look back and be like, "Yeah, wow, I probably should have seen this coming."
Coach Taylor is also in this movie. I can't believe I haven't seen this.
Fake Republican.
That's that's not true.
I don't know. I don't know that now. You might be a plant. You might be a neoliberal plant now. My eyes on you, Big T.
I like that though. Arian has range to just drop Pure Country in a podcast like this. Respect.
If I was a liberal plant, I should be making a shit ton of money as an actor.
It's true.
That's not true. That's not true. They need them in all ranks, man. The plants are everywhere.
Sounds like you've got your next talking point for your salary negotiation there, Big T.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Barstool Split would be a good place to put a plant.
Yep. What else we got, Mad Dog? Anything else good?
Do you guys want to do one more?
Let's do one more, and then we'll hop off for the weekend again. Remember, tune in tune in on Thursday for Nanodosing.
Did Billy finish?
What?
Did you finish our
Yeah, I
hour?
finished it.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Trace. I'm from Minnesota. Just a quick question. I was wondering, with the new show Squid Game coming out, if you guys would participate if you were, I don't know, if you were broke or if you were in debt, or even if you are. So thanks for taking my question. Hope you guys have a good rest of your day, good rest of your week. Love you guys. See ya.
So does everyone know what Squid Game is about?
I do not.
Squid Game.
So
I haven't heard. I heard everybody talking about it.
Well, I feel like we should wait then because I've heard people talk about it too. We should watch it. I know it's a series on Netflix, right?
Yep.
I was gonna watch it.
Yeah, that should be part of our Nanodosing next week. Is like a review. We'll do Art of War, but we'll also do a quick review of. I'll watch it too.
Yeah,
we should all do a review of Squid Game.
Yep.
And if you would how you think you would participate in it?
All right. Yeah,
Done.
we'll do that. Okay, that's a good one to end on. That's what we call a cliffhanger in the biz.
Yep. Underwear.
Arian, what color underwear? I'm thinking about suspending the underwear. By the way, unless
That sounds like a good call.
unless we can get MeUndies to be a presenting sponsor of this podcast.
This is a threat.
I like that.
MeUndies, if you're listening, I wear your underwear every day. Every day I'm
Same.
wearing pants. I've got MeUndies on. Coley, you wear it too?
Every day.
They're great underwear, but you know what? I'm done doing free ads for MeUndies. Unless you want to be on board as the presenting sponsor of Macrodosing, we would love to have you.
That'd be
In
fire.
honor of the pirate episode, we're holding MeUndies hostage until they pay up.
We are.
This is a serious threat.
We've pirated your underwear. So, you know what? I'm just going to spin it. We're not doing underwear this week.
Oh, it was so sudden.
They were orange.
Oh, I was gonna guess navy blue.
Okay. Good thing we didn't do it. All right. We will see you guys next week on Macrodosing. Thank you for listening. Love you guys.